at Yankee Stadium.
Very touching, Don, and opening day is surely a time for hope and support. And at a midway point between New York and Boston, the national tragedy that happened in Newtown, Connecticut has affected many, but really hits close to home here for us. And all 30 ball clubs and all the baseball family is really going to honor those 26 fallen on that tragic day. So the pregame ceremony here, there was a joint honor guard of Newtown police and firefighters and a moment of silence when a list of the victims' names were recognized on the center field scoreboard. All players, managers, and umpires of all 30 clubs will wear a symbolic ribbon patch. Don, the patch features the official seal of Newtown along with a black memorial ribbon and 26 stars signifying one for every victim.
The tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut will certainly never be forgotten, and very close to both New York and Boston as Jon Lester makes his way from the bullpen here at Yankee Stadium, getting ready for his first outing of the year. Lester, a frustrating year last year in which he was 9-14, but certainly a new season and turning the page onto 2013 for the Red Sox. And it is amazing that the Red Sox to finish the year here last year, Jerry, and certainly things were not very positive at all. You turn the page and they begin 2013 here with a much different feeling heading into the season.
Well, Don, you know, the Red Sox were very happy to have that last game come to an end last season. It was a long, disastrous year, and work started to begin immediately on putting together the 2013 ball club. They have done that. They open up again in Yankee Stadium against a banged-up Yankee team. This is a good time to face the New York Yankees because they've got a ton of guys out with some serious injuries.
Well, we'll be taking a look at their lineup momentarily, but it is a much different looking opening day lineup for the Yankees than you are used to. Mark Teixeira, of course, one of the guys that is not going to be ready to at least May, and it depends who you believe as to when he will return, and he is not alone in that category. A-Rod with the hip problem may miss the entire season. Derek Jeter, who did not play very many games at all during spring training, he is out to begin the year. His loss right now is indefinite. They're not sure when he's going to be able to return. Of course, Curtis Granderson in his first at bat ends up fracturing his hand in spring training and is out. And Mariano Rivera, of course, coming back from the ACL last year into his last year here, and his retirement will be at the end of this year. Got a great hand here as part of the introductions. Yeah, he and Robinson Cano got the biggest hands for the Yankees when they were introduced prior to the ball game, but in particular Mariano Rivera, for Yankee fans, very happy to see him back on his final tour. Well, they're going over the ground rules here at home plate. Ted Barrett is the umpire behind the plate today on this opening day. And John Farrell out there along with Tony Pena, the bench coach for the Yankees, and of course the manager for the Dominican Republic in the WBC, who did such a terrific job, and of course the former Major League manager and catcher for the Red Sox, and is with the Kansas City Royals. Won't be long before he gets a chance again to manage. The Yankees take the field. Let's check out the visiting Red Sox starting lineup. Leading it off is Jacoby Ellsbury in center field, Shane Victorino in right, Dustin Pedroia at second base, bats third today, Mike Napoli at first base. Will Middlebrooks has been ailing a little bit with the flu the last couple of days. He's at third base. Jared Saltalamacchia does the catching, batting sixth with Johnny Gomes. The DH with David Ortiz to begin the season on the DL, batting seventh. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the jump from Double-A Portland, Maine to the majors today, making his major league debut in left field and batting eighth. And Jose Iglesias at shortstop with the injury and subsequent 7-day DL for Stephen Drew. And on the mound today is CC Sabathia, 15-game winner last year, was 15-6 in 28 starts with a 3.38 earned run average. Got to exactly 200 innings last year in his 28 starts. And Sabathia looking to have a bigger year this year, as his spring numbers, a 5.40 earned run average and no record during the spring, as he worked in 10 innings. Well, Lou Piniella throwing out the first pitch here at Yankee Stadium. And Sweet Lou bounces one in as the ceremonial first pitch from Yankee Stadium. And Piniella will be working on Yankees telecast this year as well for the Yes Network as he returns to New York.
Let's take a look at the Yankees defense today. It'll be Jason Nix at third base, Eduardo Nunez, the shortstop, Robinson Cano at second, and Kevin Youkilis, the first baseman. Left to right, Vernon Wells, Brett Gardner, and Ichiro, and Francisco Cervelli doing the catching for CC Sabathia.
And the umpiring crew, Ted Barrett, is calling the balls and strikes behind the plate today. Alfonso Marquez at first base, Mike Tamuro at second base, and Dan Bellino is the umpire at third. Terrific conditions here in New York today. We could not have asked for much more than this. Expected to be in the mid-60s today. Blue skies above Yankee Stadium. It is 53 degrees with a breeze out to right at 12 miles per hour. And it doesn't get much better than this for opening day this time of year, Jerry.
No, it's kind of cold here yesterday for the Red Sox workout that they had, and a little bit of rain in the area last night. But beautiful conditions for opening day, and hopefully it can stay like this for a few more days while we're here in New York.
Tomorrow an off day, and then Wednesday and Thursday night games here from Yankee Stadium. Red Sox will head to Toronto after that. Don't have to worry about the conditions with the dome. And then it is back home again for next Monday. Jacoby Ellsbury makes his way to the plate as CC Sabathia gets ready to toe the rubber.
Sabathia in 22 career starts against the Red Sox, 8-9 with a 4.23 ERA.
Sabathia peering into Francisco Cervelli as Ellsbury climbs in. 2013, here we go. First pitch is in there for strike one, and we're underway.
Now the Red Sox today will see the fastball, the two-seam fastball, the breaking ball, and the changeup from Sabathia.
Ellsbury grounded foul is down 0-2. The roll call going on here as we speak at Yankee Stadium, and this Yankees crowd will have the chance to welcome Kevin Youkilis, which will be strange for Uke, I'm sure. 0-2 to Ellsbury. Little pop up left side. Nunez will duck back and put it away. Nesson and Xfinity would like to welcome viewers to opening day. Thanks for joining us for the start of the 2013 Red Sox season.
Now Sabathia quickly gets ahead of Jacoby Ellsbury, throws that breaking ball down and away, and the result, the little pop up to shortstop Nunez.
One down for Shane Victorino. Split last year between the Philadelphia Phillies and the LA Dodgers. And he looks at ball one from Sabathia. Numbers last year combined 154 games between Philly and LA. 11 home runs, 55 runs batted in. Represented the United States in the WBC tournament. And spent enough time in camp to get to know his teammates, and happy to be a member of the Red Sox as he starts 2013. One and two.
Well, we actually expected to see Victorino in left field here at Yankee Stadium, but with the emergence of Jackie Bradley Jr., he stays over in right field, and of course Bradley gets to start in left field.
Yeah, I think if the decision had been Johnny Gomes or Victorino, would have seen it the other way around.
They would have flip-flopped.
Victorino takes it down and in, 2-2. Sabathia, 15-game winner a year ago. On the ground, foul. We'll do it again, 2-2.
Victorino, a .275 career hitter against Sabathia.
Pedroia batting out of the 3 spot, waiting on deck with 1 down here in the top half of the first inning. 2-2 again. Got him. Off balance as he pulls the string on Victorino. First strikeout for Sabathia.
That time Sabathia staying away from Victorino. He gets ahead and then goes away with the fastball. That's that two-seam fastball that's going to tail away from the right-handed hitters.
So 2 down, and that'll take us to Dustin Pedroia. That's out of the 3 spot, 290 average last year in 141 games. And I'll skip in for ball 1. Well, the Yankees have been tough in home season openers. They have won 11 straight. Joe Girardi coming in with a banged up group and a much different looking opening day starting lineup than he anticipated even at the beginning of spring. Line to center, and Pedroia's got a base hit in his first at bat of the season.
Now that's the way the batting order has gone toward the end of spring training. Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia in that 3 spot, and he keeps the Red Sox away from the 1-2-3 inning. Fastball in a half, and Pedroia with the line drive up the middle for the base hit. Right up over the shoulder and the head of CC Sabathia.
So 2 down, Pedroia at first, and that takes us to one of the newest members of the Red Sox, Mike Napoli. No problems at all with the hips during spring and was very good defensively at first base as he makes that transition on a full-time basis now. .277 average in what worked out to be his last year with the Texas Rangers a year ago. 24 home runs for Napoli. Foul tipped, and it's 1-1. Third year in a row the Red Sox have opened the season on the road. Last year at Detroit, the season before at Texas. 1-2.
A change up away that time from Sabathia. And see if with the count 1-2 if they try to send Pedroia at first base. John Farrell has been aggressive during spring training. There's that ball down and away from Napoli.
Swing and a miss. Sabathia strikes out Napoli. 2 strikeouts in the first inning for Sabathia. His work is done in the first inning. Jon Lester be coming on to the Yankee Stadium mound for the bottom of the first. As always, Bobby Bacala here. Scoreless as we head to the bottom of the first inning. Celebrities are coming out on this opening day from Yankee Stadium. Let's check out the Yankee starting lineup. It's brought to you by Jordan's Furniture. Brett Gardner, after an injury plagued last year, only 16 games, right elbow strain, back in there in center field. Eduardo Nunez at shortstop with Robinson Cano at second base. Kevin Youkilis at first base in the cleanup spot with Vernon Wells over from the Angels in left. Ben Francisco is the DH. Ichiro Suzuki signs back with the Yankees. He's in right field. Jason Nix at third base, and Francisco Cervelli does the catching as he bats ninth. Jon Lester on the hill, 33 starts a year ago, 9-14 in his 33 starts, and a 4.82 earned run average for Lester. He had a very good spring training, 3-0 with a 0.75 earned run average. A new man really during the spring, and you have to think about the return of John Farrell being a big part of that as Lester gets ready to work to Brett Gardner. And his first pitch, he'll miss for ball 1.
And look where Will Middlebrooks is playing Gardner. He is way in tight at third base, expecting the possible bunt with the speed of Gardner.
He does try to bunt, pops it up foul, and it'll land harmlessly back by the screen.
Saltalamacchia could not pick that up right away, and it was not bunted high enough for Salty to regroup and make a play on it.
Jon Lester making his third straight opening day start. First member of the Red Sox to start 3 consecutive season opening games since Pedro Martinez has served as opening day starter in all 7 seasons that he was with the Red Sox, 1998 through 2004. Gardner waves at that. Good start for Lester as he strikes out Gardner to start the day.
Down and away for Jon Lester with the fastball. A little bit of a cut fastball that time from Lester to pick up the strikeout and makes quick work of Gardner. The Red Sox defense this afternoon looks like this, brought to you by courtesy of Southwest Airlines. Will Middlebrooks at third base. Jose Iglesias the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second and Mike Napoli at first. Left to right, Jackie Bradley Jr., Jacoby Ellsbury, and Shane Victorino, and Jared Saltalamacchia doing the catching.
In there for strike one to Eduardo Nunez. 38 games last year with the Yankees. Up and down to Scranton Wilkes-Barre last year, the AAA affiliate for New York. This is in the air to left down the line. Bradley Jr. on the run, and that'll fall foul.
What do you think Jackie Bradley Jr. feels like right now? First game in the big leagues coming out of AA baseball at Yankee Stadium.
It's a little different.
It's a little bit different, yes.
A little different than anything he experienced in spring training in his first major league camp.
And after all of his time in center field, he is in left today and takes a look around that big left field here at Yankee Stadium. 0-2 to Nunez. On the ground left side, Iglesias slides to his left. 2 down in the first inning. Well, Jon Lester had a great spring, Jenny, and hoping for an even better start to the season.
That's right, Don. Jon Lester is excited to set a new tone for this 2013 season, and this quote is brought to you by Geico. Anytime you go into a series, anytime you go into a season, it's important that the first game you establish what you want to do against that team. Hopefully it sets a good tone for the other guys.
Well, in his career has always been very good against the Yankees, a 9-4 record against New York with a 3.71 earned run average in 21 starts against the Yankees.
And a pretty good shift put on for Robinson Cano right here. Red Sox really pulled over in that shift position. Iglesias still to the shortstop side, but pulled up the middle, and Middlebrooks way deep at that shortstop hole.
It is going to be interesting, at least in the first series, with some of the teams that the Red Sox will see on a regular basis as to how John Farrell will play his shifts. We saw him shift a great deal as a manager of the Blue Jays. We'll see how that works here with his Red Sox defensive alignment.
Yeah, on the defensive side, you can expect quite a bit of that out of a Farrell defense.
1-2 to Cano.
And offensively, he likes to play an aggressive style of baseball. He likes that first to third running. Make sure you get good jumps and run the bases the right way. He will steal bases, hit and runs a lot of time early in the count.
Time called late as Lester is about to go into the line. As Cano readjusts the batting gloves, bats with 2 outs, bases empty in the Yankees' first inning. Not close, and it's 2-2. .75 earned run average during the spring. Gave up just 2 earned runs in 24 innings of spring training work for Jon Lester. It's ball 3 and a full count.
And a good sign right now for Lester. Everything he's throwing, he's keeping down in the zone. Missing down that time to Cano.
Juan Nieves learning his staff during spring training. Gardner struck out. Nunez bouncing to short. And Sabathia looks on. Robinson Cano with a full count. Swing and a miss, gets away, a long way away from Saltalamacchia. Cano's going to try and reach and will. Did not break right away, but then he realized that was all the way back at the wall. And to first goes Cano.
Now that was a nasty cut fastball. You can see he set up inside. He thought it was going to be inside, but it cuts away from Saltalamacchia, so he can't handle it, and it makes its way all the way back to the backstop. By the time he gets it, no chance to get Cano at first base.
So a base runner with 2 down as Uihara stands in his first at bat in a Yankees uniform. Clean shaven. .235 average combined numbers between the Red Sox and White Sox a year ago. And he'll take a look at Jon Lester as he takes strike 1. They signed Uihara with the idea that he would play third base in the absence of Alex Rodriguez. Then they lose Teixeira, so they move Uihara over to first base, and we certainly know all about that versatility and how good he is at both corner infield positions, but really works out for the Yankees as it turns out. And Teixeira on the shelf at least until May with a hand injury.
Now Uihara has faced Lester twice in his career. He's 1 for 2. That one hit a home run.
Opposite field, Victorino back a step, will reel it in and end the inning. Solid contact, but right at Victorino as Lester is through his first inning of work, and so are we.
Welcome back to Yankee Stadium, and nobody wants to get past last season more than the Red Sox themselves. It's a new season, a new team, a fresh start for everybody. So we would like you to join in our conversation using the hashtag, just want to make this right, whole new ball game. That's right, the hashtag whole new ball game. Tell us your thoughts about Lester's fresh start, Jackie Bradley Jr., our new closer. Send us your tweets.
Hashtag whole new ball game. Joe Piscopo, Matt Lauer and behind home plate and in the house here at Yankee Stadium as we moved to inning number 2, a scoreless contest from Yankee Stadium on this opening day. As CC Sabathia returns to the hill. Struck out 2 in the first and allowed a single to Pedroia. As Will Middlebrooks glad to turn the page on his injury last year and begin this year healthy. He is a little bit under the weather, has been sick the last couple of days, but injury free. His 75 games, very good production last year. At our first look at him as this is drilled into the seats.
Now, for those who followed spring training, he had a bit of a scare earlier in the spring when he swung the bat and had a problem with that wrist, but the problem did not last very long. Matter of fact, less than a day he was back swinging the bat again.
No 2 to Middlebrooks. They'll tap it foul.
Change up that time from Sabathia, and Middlebrooks able to just get a piece of it and give himself another opportunity.
Will Middlebrooks, 24 years of age, his first opening day roster in his second major league season. Last Red Sox opening day starter at third base, age 24 or younger, was Wade Boggs. That was 30 years ago in 1983. This will miss, and it's 1-2. Middlebrooks, then Saltalamacchia here in the Red Sox second inning. They'll skip in 2-2. Middlebrooks called up last year on May the 2nd. 15 homers, 54 runs batted in these 75 games prior to the season-ending right wrist fracture. Chop to third on the backhand goes Nix. Long throw, and he gets it there in time. Well, this great rivalry renewed here today on this opening day of 2013. The Americans beat the Highlanders 6-2 back in 1903 when it got started. The opening of Fenway Park, a 7-6 defeat of the Yankees on May 20th of 1912. Babe Ruth sold to the Yankees 1920. This rivalry has been rekindled over the last few years once again after some lean years.
And down and outside game in 1903.
Down and end to Saltalamacchia. 121 games a year ago. The home run numbers solid for Saltalamacchia. 25 of them. Would like to cut down on the strikeouts in 2013. And there's a new catcher behind him in a tandem with David Ross.
And also improved from the right side of the plate. He had a good spring hitting from the right side of the plate. And if that happens, that will certainly get him more starts on the season.
Lays off and takes ball 2, 2-1.
Sabathia's fastball right now 91 miles an hour.
A little low, yes.
Not what we normally see from him. That's correct.
Drops that just outside. Saltalamacchia making his 5th opening day start behind the plate in his career. His 3rd with the Red Sox. 2 with Texas, 2009, 2010. And he'll take a walk with 1 down. First free pass served up by Sabathia.
I think Sabathia a little bit surprised at the last 2 calls. He thought he had corners on those pitches, but not called strikes, and Saltalamacchia draws the walk.
Well, for a delicious cup of coffee at the office, try W.B. Mason's coffee service, featuring the Keurig coffee system with Green Mountain coffee. 1 out, 1 on here in the visiting half of the 2nd inning. Johnny Gomes, his first at bat in a Red Sox uniform today, is the DH. Strike 1. 11th major league season for Gomes, first with the Red Sox, and on his 7th opening day roster. His numbers from a year ago with the Oakland A's, team that was defeated in the American League Division Series by the Tigers. Lined and off the glove at 3rd and Nix. He'll be backed up by Nunez. Into 2nd goes Saltalamacchia. Be a base hit for Gomes on a diving bid by Nix at 3rd.
This is an absolute bullet right there by Johnny Gomes, and Nix goes into the dive. He makes a nice effort for it, but right off the top of the glove. Late reaction by Nix. That's because the ball was hit so hard. He tries to time that leap, and the ball just gets the top of the glove and rolls into left field.
So 2 on, 1 away. And Jackie Bradley Jr. in his first major league at bat. Played with Salem and Portland a year ago. And takes a look at the strike from CC Sabathia. His numbers from A-ball and Double-A for Jackie Bradley Jr. a year ago. 315 combined numbers in 128 games. Down 0-2.
One of the reasons that he made this ball club, because he proved in spring training they could also handle left-handed pitching. Facing a good one today and quickly down 0-2.
And because of these numbers that he put together in spring training, John Farrell said when asked what he was surprised about most, and he said how good Jackie Bradley Jr. is. Heard about him, saw the numbers, but until you see him in person, changes everything, and it changed everything to the point where he makes this team.
Well, right now Sabathia in complete control of this at bat, ahead 1-2, and when we saw Bradley in spring training, became vulnerable to breaking balls away from him when he was down in the count from lefties.
Just outside.
And that's the pitch I was talking about right there. That's one that we saw him chase a few times. That time he stays off it. And just missed the outside corner.
Saltalamacchia at second base. Gomes at first with one away. And a 2-2 to Bradley Jr. Since 1981, the only other Red Sox farmhand to make an opening day roster without AAA experience, Shea Hillenbrand, back in 2001. Two again. Ball three.
Good job. Yeah, good job here as he fell behind very quickly and now runs that count to 3-2 after laying off a couple of tough pitches.
One of the things John Farrell was very impressed with was his patience at the plate. You don't see that a lot from young players, but he is taking a lot of walks and pretty patient. We're seeing it here in his first major league at bat, to the point where he'll take a walk in his first major league at bat. Second walk of the inning given up by Sabathia, and some pretty close pitches in that sequence.
Yeah, you know, he teased him a couple of times for breaking balls away, and in spring training we saw him chase some of those, but he didn't chase here, and eventually comes back to draw a walk. So the Red Sox have a chance to strike first in this ball game with the bases loaded.
Sabathia, who used 15 pitches to get through the first inning, has already thrown 18 here in the second, and he has one out. Jose Iglesias, 118 average in 25 games last year, had a better spring, certainly bulked up. We talked about it a lot during the spring. A much stronger player than he was a year ago. Chops one to deep short. Nunez will go to second and safe there, and a run scores. In from third is Saltalamacchia, and the Red Sox strike first. Nunez had to go to deep short. By the time he gets there, cannot get Jackie Bradley Jr. at second base.
Well, you know, we've seen this over and over again where Red Sox base runners have been running hard all the way and beating plays at second base. Here's another great example. It's a tough play for Nunez, but he makes the play to Cano, but the hustle by Bradley's going to beat it at second base, and the Yankees cannot get an out. That's a good way to keep big innings alive.
So the Red Sox take the 1-0 advantage. An RBI for Iglesias. Second time through the Red Sox order. Ellsbury will hit a one-hopper hard to first. Youkilis coming home for one, and that's all they'll get. And a force out at the plate of Gomes as Youkilis comes home with it for the second out of the inning.
And Youkilis, realizing that he did not have a chance at a double play, now with Ellsbury running, decides to come home with it and get that lead runner. A little bit high of a throw, but Cervelli's able to come back and tag home plate. Any other runner on the Red Sox, he may have tried to go for two on that to get out of the inning.
So bases reloaded, 2 down in the inning, and a chance for Shane Victorino. He struck out swinging in the first inning. And takes a look at strike one from Sabathia. Seventh straight opening day start for Victorino. Then the Phillies opening day center fielder each of the last 5 years. A two-time All-Star, signing a 3-year deal with the Red Sox. His first year in the American League after 9 years in the National League. San Diego, Philadelphia, and finishing last year with the Dodgers. It's high and it's 1-1. Bradley Jr. at third base, Iglesias at second, and Ellsbury at first. A run already in. Line into left field, a base hit. From third base comes Bradley Jr. Iglesias behind him. The throw is cut off, knocked down. 2 runs are in, and the Red Sox take a 3-0 lead. Shane Victorino driving in a pair.
That's what we talked about, Don, the hustle, you know, beating that play at second base. It keeps the chance of a big inning alive. The Yankees do not get an out on it. Victorino comes up with the bases loaded, gets a pitch that's up and in, and hooks it between that hole and third and short. And the Red Sox pick up a couple of runs with 2 outs. A very good inning here. A couple of walks involved by CC Sabathia. Some clutch base hits. Very clutch hit there by Victorino.
So 3-0 Red Sox with 2 down in the inning. First and second, and Dustin Pedroia coming up. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach for the Yankees, out to talk to Sabathia. The walks costly in the inning for Sabathia as he walked Saltalamacchia and Jackie Bradley Jr., and they both end up turning into runs. Pedroia singled in the first inning. One of now 4 Red Sox hits in the game. Pedroia's now started at second base in each of the Red Sox last 6 opening day games. One and one. Played 20 spring training games at 267 during the spring.
Right now, Cervelli throwing out some signs to his middle infielders, letting him know what he's going to do in case of a double steal, whether he'll go to third or go to second to try to get the trail runner.
Pedroia to right, in for a base hit. Ellsbury coming around from second base. The throw will go to third from Ichiro, and the Red Sox will take a 4-0 lead. Pedroia's second hit of the day drives in another Boston run.
What a nice inside-out swing that time by Dustin Pedroia. That ball was down and in on him. He's able to get the hands inside the baseball and shoot it hard to the opposite field. Location of that pitch about shin high and inside. And Pedroia still handles it by moving it to the left of Robinson Cano.
Two on, 2 down. 4 runs in for the Red Sox as Mike Napoli looks at ball 1. With all the injuries the Yankees have to their lineup, their pitching has got to be awfully good for them to get off to any kind of start. And this is not the start that CC Sabathia, their ace, wanted, as he runs into all kinds of trouble here in the second inning. 1-1.
Napoli out in front of a changeup that time by Sabathia. The Yankees are going to have to score runs in different ways. They've lost a lot of home run power out of their lineup.
Action in the pen. Sean Kelly, a right-hander, is up as Sabathia struggles here in the second inning. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Back to the fastball from Sabathia. Last year, the worst month of the year for Sabathia was April, where he had a 4.58 earned run average in the first month of the year. Struggling in his first outing of the first month of this year. Off the outside edge. 2-2.
He has not got the benefit of the close calls, that's for sure. That was a pretty good changeup by Sabathia, but you're going to see maybe just down and away a little bit. Cervelli tries to bring it back to the corner, but Ted Barrett would have none of it.
Runners go. Napoli swings and fouls it off. Well, Victorino and Pedroia in motion on the 2-2 pitch. That was the 33rd pitch of the inning for CC Sabathia. Red Sox in their second inning of the year have batted around. In the air to left center, sending Gardner back a few steps. He's under it, and he'll put it away to end what was a very good offensive inning for the Red Sox. They put together a 4-run attack on CC Sabathia. Nice start to the 2013 season.
Progressive English rock band Yes performed 2 of their classic albums in the MGM Grand Theater at Foxwoods Resort Casino April 5th. For tickets, visit foxwoods.com.
Shane Victorino drives in a pair as the Red Sox gather 4 runs in the top half of the second inning and lead it 4-0. So we head to the bottom of the second. All-Stars out today. Martha Stewart is here at Yankee Stadium. Yankees with a quiet beginning to today. They will send Vernon Wells, Ben Francisco, and Ichiro Suzuki to bat in the second inning. Wells having a chance to rekindle his career here with the Yankees after some very quiet seasons after leaving Toronto with the Angels. And Lester, after a long wait, pumps in strike number 1. Yankees really having to make some decisions very close to the season starting with all the injuries in spring training. And Wells one of them. 2 Hopper to Iglesias. 1 down.
Yeah, we were looking at this lineup as we were writing it down today, and this is not a Yankee lineup, that's for sure.
This is a Legends Field Tampa Bay spring training Yankees lineup that you might see in maybe the middle of March. And for Joe Girardi, just hoping that they can stay above water while they wait for some of their players to come back. Easier said than done when your ace struggles the way that Sabathia did in the second inning. And some questions as to whether or not we'll see Alex Rodriguez again, perhaps in a Yankees uniform, as whether it'll even be in 2013. This one sent foul down the right field line, out of play. Oh, 2 pitches up and away. And it's 1-2 to Ben Francisco, a DH. Francisco 3 teams a year ago: Toronto, Houston, and Tampa Bay. It's outside for ball 3.
One of the things that John Farrell talked about with Jon Lester about working more upright again. He had kind of slumped down a little bit, which Farrell felt was causing his pitches to rise in the strike zone. So they're trying to get him to work more straight up and down and have that downward slope to home plate.
Ball 4 to Francisco. First walk given up by Lester. So you want him staying more tall.
More tall, and have that delivery going back down toward home plate.
I kind of wondered when John Farrell was announced as the Red Sox manager how much he noticed from the other dugout with the Toronto Blue Jays as to what guys he used to work with were doing, because if anybody would pick up what they're not doing mechanically, it's John Farrell. And he made some quick adjustments with Lester as well as Buchholz, and also Lackey to some degree. And there's a problem that Lester's had over the course of his career, and that's throwing anywhere but the plate.
He just does not throw to first base well, you know, whether it be on a ball back to him or a pickoff attempt.
Has to be a mental thing.
Yeah, it becomes one after a while, that's for sure.
Francisco with a good sized lead at first. And it's a strike to Ichiro. 6 straight first pitch strikes for Jon Lester. Ichiro making his 12th career opening day roster, first with the Yankees. Snap throw to first, and Francisco's back to the bag. The pitch was a called strike.
And Francisco, not a real big lead, not a real big secondary lead over there at first base, as you can see, only a couple of steps, so he didn't have any problem getting back at all on the pickoff attempt.
There's a grounder towards shortstop. Iglesias shovels to second for one, on to first. No chance with Ichiro running. They do get Francisco at second base, but Ichiro aboard at first with 2 down.
Now Ichiro doesn't run like he once did, but still gets down very well. And almost running as he's making contact. Iglesias has to come in. Once he has to come in a couple of steps, they're not going to be able to double up Ichiro at first base. This Ichiro coming out of the box almost on contact.
So 2 down, Ichiro at first, and Jason Nix the batter. And into 74 games last year for the Yankees in a utility role. It's a start at third base today. Takes a hack at the first pitch he sees. It's part of our key matchup brought to you by Honda. Nix against Lester, and part of the reasons he is in there today. 3 home runs and .333 average against Jon Lester in his career. Nix in the 74 games last year for the Yankees, hitting at .243. Began last year at AAA Scranton. Begins this year with New York. He's been in the majors with the Rockies, the White Sox, the Indians, and Blue Jays, and last year for the first time the Yankees.
Even though it's early in the game and the Yankees down by 4 runs, Ichiro still has the ability to steal bases. 2 ball 1 strike count.
Grounder foul to the end of the Red Sox dugout, and it's 2-2 to Jason Nix.
And that's something they're going to have to do more of early in the season. Play more small ball than they're accustomed to playing. They hit all those home runs a year ago, but they're not in the lineup.
Manufacture some runs. A team that hit 245 last year, but of the players that are returning, they're missing 210 of those home runs. That's a pretty major number.
That's a lot.
Ball 3, full count. Ichiro can get a start now at first base. Third full count of the day for Jon Lester. He struck out 2 and walked a batter. There's strike 3. Nix knew it. Takes with him the 3rd K for Jon Lester. The Yankees leave Ichiro at first base. It's 4-0 Red Sox. Welcome back to opening day at Yankee Stadium. It is time now for AT&T's first trivia question of 2013. Only 2 Red Sox have hit 5 home runs or more in their opening day careers. Who are they? I have the answer for you later in the game as CC Sabathia is ready for his 3rd inning of work, and Red Sox scored 4 times against him in the top half of the 2nd inning. Middlebrooks grounded out to begin things in the 2nd and take strike 1. Red Sox sending 9 men to the plate in the 2nd. 4 scored on 4 hits. Yankees had action in the bullpen last inning, and so far none to begin this inning, but already 52 pitches for CC Sabathia. Little number foul, 2-2. During the last 2 years, the Red Sox beginning the year 0-6. It would be great to be able to get this year off with a victory.
Would be, you know, Don, just to gain some confidence. You know, it was so just upsetting the last couple of years not to be able to get a win. You find yourself in a hole so early that you've got to dig out of.
Brooks strikes out. There's the third strikeout of the day for Sabathia. 1 down. Live Nation and the Boston Red Sox are excited to announce that after 2 unforgettable concerts in 2009, legendary performer Paul McCartney will be returning to Fenway Park for one night only on Tuesday, July 9th. You do not want to miss the spectacular show. Tickets go on sale Friday, April 5th at 10 a.m. For the latest concert information and to order tickets, go to www.livenation.com.
Where are we on July 9th?
That's a great question. Let's check it out. I'm guessing we're somewhere, Jerry. We are in Seattle. We couldn't be much further away.
That's a killer.
Yeah. You went to the first one, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
The 0-1 pitch is in there for strike 2. Probably the only person on the face of the earth that you would like to meet, and you almost knocked him over here at Yankee Stadium a few years ago. Is Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I was chasing Billy Crystal to say hi to him, and I almost knocked over McCartney.
We got in the car, and you said, "Who is the guy that I hit?" And I said, "Paul McCartney, Sir Paul McCartney." Saltalamacchia strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for Sabathia.
Breaking ball that time for the strikeout for Sabathia. So strikeouts on a changeup and a curveball this inning for Sabathia.
So 2 down here in the third, and we'll bring up Johnny Gomes. We get a look at third strike to Saltalamacchia.
That's that breaking ball that the right-handers give up on. They think it's away, and it picks up the outside corner.
Gomes will foul it off to the right now to play. We're talking about upcoming Red Sox games, and Safeco Insurance lets us take a look at the road ahead for the Red Sox. Tomorrow an off day, and then Wednesday and Thursday both night games here at Yankee Stadium before we go to Toronto. Night game day and opening day, the home opener for the Red Sox at Fenway Park against the Orioles. Gomes taking a hack at strike 2. He singled in the second inning. Sabathia struck out Middlebrooks and Saltalamacchia. Now an 0-2 to Gomes. This one fouled back and below us. Two again. In the air to short left as Nunez ducks back on the short lawn and puts it away. 1-2-3 third inning for Sabathia. Red Sox on top by 4.
Well, the Red Sox have a 4-run lead, and they got that way with the bottom of the order getting it started. Iglesias with a base hit to drive in a run. Victorino with a base hit to drive in 2 runs. And then Pedroia with the inside-out swing to the opposite field, bringing home the 4th run of the inning for the Red Sox, and they have the 4-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning.
Some ominous looking clouds off to the left here at Yankee Stadium as we start this last of the 3rd. Chance for rain in the area today is Francisco Cervelli leading it off for the Yankees, batting out of the number 9 spot. Played just 3 games for the Yankees last year. Hit .246 in 99 games. Was Grant Wilkes-Barre last year, AAA for the Yankees, and the opening day starter today and takes ball 1. Last year in Grant Wilkes-Barre, .246 average, 2 homers and 39 runs batted in. Second career opening day roster is also on the roster in 2010. It's a high fly ball sending Ellsbury back. Plenty of room out there for out number 1.
It's one of the few pitches today that Lester is elevated. No ball hit pretty hard by Cervelli, but a lot of room out there in that part of the ballpark here at Yankee Stadium.
Jerry, earlier you were talking about the adjustments that Jon Lester made when he's more upright in his delivery and with a greater focus on keeping the ball down with more movement in the zone. And I was speaking with John Farrell earlier, and he said in Lester's case, it was more of a return to a previous form, a previous delivery that was foreign to him. It's just reestablishing the strengths that he has. Lester said his spring training was key for him. It was nice to have good results, especially when working on things. And he feels like he's in a good place mechanically and mentally.
Jenny, that's the key. You know, when you're making adjustments and you're making changes, you want success with them immediately. So it proves to you that these changes that you're going through are working, because, you know, if you go out there and you're working on these different things and they're not working, then your confidence in them is not the same. So Lester, everything was perfect. I mean, they changed his mechanics a little bit. He pitched very well, and now he's got great confidence.
So you blasted a couple of those outings, you're more apt to scrap it.
Exactly. Like, you know, let's try something different. Let's go on to something else.
Well, Jon Lester, first Red Sox left-hander to make 3 consecutive opening day starts. It's 1952 through 1954. Mel Parnell. And just the 3rd Red Sox southpaw ever to start 3 straight opening days. It's out in front, and Lester's just going to pick it up. I think he thought initially Saltalamacchia was going to come after. By the time he picks it up, Gardner with his speed, and great speed it is, beats it out.
Yeah, I don't think either one of these guys, Saltalamacchia or Lester, were going to get him at first base. It's a swinging bunt. And you can see Lester just kind of backing off. Know that with the speed of Gardner going down that line, they have no chance at all of getting him. And why waste the throw to first base?
One down, Gardner at first, and Eduardo Nunez grounded out to shortstop in the first inning. Strike 1 from Lester. The lefties we mentioned start 3 consecutive season openers for the Red Sox. Mel Parnell, 52 through 54, and Babe Ruth, 1916 through 1918, and Lester becomes the 3rd. There's a grounder foul. Lester trying to become the first Red Sox southpaw to start and win an opening day since Gary Peters at New York on April 7th of 1970. Red Sox are 0-5 since 1984 when a left-hander starts on opening day. And of course, Lester having to deal with the Rangers the year before last and the Tigers last year. Both losses for the Red Sox on both occasions. But a nice 4-0 lead here is it is grounded foul by Nunez.
I think Babe Ruth made the right decision switching from a pitcher to a hitter.
I do. Looking back on it now.
Looking back, it's probably a pretty good choice.
Babe and all the retired numbers out here beyond center field. Opening day, Yankee Stadium 2013 for the Red Sox, and a 4-0 advantage with 1 out in the last half of the 3rd inning. 0-2 to Eduardo Nunez. Clouds are now making their way over the top of Yankee Stadium. We started with plenty of sunshine and blue skies above, but getting darker now.
Still for an opening day in April in the East Coast. You couldn't ask for better than this.
This one knocked down by Saltalamacchia. No advance for Gardner at first base.
Looked like a changeup that time from Lester, and Saltalamacchia getting down there trying to catch it, just block it. Keep Gardner at first base and out of scoring position.
Runner goes. Nunez fouls it back and out of play. So that time Gardner getting a start, but Nunez fouls it off. Well, Sox fans, 2 is always better than 1, and you can turn 2 by pairing it together. A couple of great Red Sox games at Fenway Park this season, including a Yankees or a summer weekend game with a double play ticket package. Visit redsox.com/double-play to create your package now. 1 out, 1 on for the Yankees in the home half of the 3rd inning. 1-2 to Nunez. And that's in there for strike 3. Nunez hates it, but it'll be the 4th strikeout for Jon Lester. 2 down.
A lot of pitches so far that have been out toward that outside corner have not gone for strikes, but that one does for Jon Lester, and you can see that Nunez not very happy about it.
So 2 down, Gardner at first, and Robinson Cano the batter. Cano, who struck out but reached on a wild pitch back in the 1st inning. It's his 2nd look at Lester. The Yanks it down low and away, and taken off is Gardner. He'll get there. Head first slide, but no throw.
Wild pitch this time from Jon Lester. The curveball again. Saltalamacchia trying to block it. He does, but it rolls just too far away from him, and Gardner, with his great speed, no problem getting into scoring position.
Gardner now in scoring position at 2nd base. First member of the Yankees to visit 2nd base in the contest. Again low and away, and this time a very nice sliding play to his left by Saltalamacchia.
Almost the identical same pitch that time from Jon Lester. That time Salty comes up clean with it.
Cano to left. Jackie Bradley Jr. headed back onto the track to make the catch. Bangs into the wall. Jackie Bradley Jr. makes the grab in left field. Had to go a long way to grab that one. Welcome to the big leagues, Jackie Bradley Jr.
You're in the market on Nesson.
You put your family first, your job first, even your team first. Isn't it time someone put you first? Eastern Bank does just that with products like Eastern Free Checking. Here, you're first. Eastern Bank. Four nothing. The Red Sox have the lead as we venture into the 4th inning, and his first professional game in the majors and his first professional game in left field, and Jackie Bradley Jr. going back to get a ball that he had to race back to get.
Yeah, it looked like the ball was going to be over his head. Look how shallow he's playing, and able to backtrack, make that catch going into the wall and saving the Red Sox a run.
Walked in his first plate appearance and scored the Red Sox 2nd run, and take strike 1. Red Sox down an order in the 3rd inning. They did their damage in the 2nd. Batted around and scored 4 times. 0-2.
The other thing, Don, you got to remember about Bradley Jr. is the fact that, you know, he's been a center fielder. So these balls coming off the bat going to left field are quite a bit different than in center field. So it takes a major adjustment to make that switch.
Swing and a miss as he strikes out. A ball biting in at him, and strikeout number 5 for Sabathia.
You know, one of the advantages you have as a center fielder, you can see where the contact is, where the pitch is, and that helps you. Out there, that ball tailing away from Bradley Jr., but he's still able to make the catch. Got an excellent jump on it, glides after it, and is able to make that catch going away.
I was going to say that center field speed was on display there.
Yes.
One out here in the 4th inning on opening day. Jose Iglesias with a base hit and RBI in the 2nd inning. And a bunt bid pushed towards the first baseman Youkilis, and reaching is Iglesias.
I love that. I love that, Jose. That's something he's got to do more of. We saw him do it a few times in spring training. Drop one down the third base line. A perfect push bunt down the first base line, making Youkilis feel the ball. First base is wide open. There's a lot of base hits over on that side, especially against a left-handed pitcher. He's falling off to the third base side. All he's going to do is get the ball by the pitcher, and you got yourself a base hit.
Now Jose 2 for 2 now to begin the year. The bunt single here with 1 out in the 4th inning. And Ellsbury takes a ball outside.
You look to push a ball down the first base side as a right-handed hitter. You're looking for a pitch up in the zone about letter high that you can get your bat on top of and get it on the ground.
Iglesias, who has 2 hits in this game, had only 1 2-hit game in all of last year in his time in the majors. 25 games with the Red Sox last season. In there for a strike, 1-1. Ellsbury 0 for 2 so far today. He's popped out to short, reached on a fielder's choice, and scored. Well, tomorrow at 6 a.m. on WEI 93.7 FM, and here on NESN, Dennis and Callahan will have your complete wrap-up of the Sox season opener. You'll hear from John Farrell and Jon Lester, and they'll discuss Jackie Bradley Jr.'s Major League debut. DNC will take your calls all morning long. It's the most listened to morning show in New England. Tomorrow at 6 on WEI 93.7 FM, right here on NESN. 2-2 to Jacoby Ellsbury with 1 out and 1 on. Yankees infield at double play depth as Iglesias gains his lead. To left and in for a base hit. Ellsbury taking it the other way. Iglesias will take second on the first hit of the day for Jacoby Ellsbury.
Nice job of staying back by Ellsbury. He gets the breaking ball, the curveball from Sabathia. He's able to stay back on it, keep that front shoulder in, and shoot the ball to the opposite field for the base hit. So Jacoby 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Good shot right there as that ball was down around knee high and out over the plate. Ellsbury not giving it all and keeping that front shoulder in, picking up the base hit.
2 on, 1 away, and Shane Victorino gets his 3rd at bat of the day against CC Sabathia. Struck out swinging in the first, single to left to drive in 2 in the second. One and 1. Just a 178 average for Victorino during spring training. Of course, gone a couple of weeks with the WBC representing the USA, and ended up going just 8 for 45 during the spring. Didn't get a lot of at bats in the WBC. 11 was 1 for 11 for Team USA. Victorino from Hawaii. Only other Hawaiian-born player in Red Sox history was Benny Agbayani back in 2002. Back towards the mound, off the hill is Sabathia. He'll fire to first for the out. And as Iglesias takes third, Ellsbury second with now 2 down. Here comes Pedroia for the third time today. He's already got 2 hits today. Single to center in the first, single to right in the second inning. And knocked in a run as part of the 4-run attack in the second inning. Chop to short. Nunez will go to first, and he'll end the inning. Red Sox strand a pair in scoring position, but enjoy a 4-0 lead through 3.5 from the stadium. Yeah, the Donald is in the house, Jerry. It's been a while since we had him in our booth at Fenway Park, and I had him fire you.
He fired me a long time ago, yes, but I'm back.
Hey, Reach is in the background.
Regis is never far from Donald Trump.
No. And it's on to the bottom of the 4th inning back at Yankee Stadium. Youkilis, Wells, and Francisco to bat here in the 4th. Lester showing a 4-0 advantage. Youkilis lined out to right in his first at bat in the pinstripes. Down 0-2.
I think there was a tweet on there about how many hot dogs I was going to buy this season. A lot, but I'm not paying for them this year.
No, huh? No. You got somebody else to pony up the cash. Got quite costly for you last year. Noticed your vacation was a little shorter this offseason. I wondered if it had to do with the hot dogs.
Actually, it was 1 day shorter because of the snowstorm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Youkilis foul tipping that, and it hangs at 1-2. Lester with 4 strikeouts. He's walked a batter and only given up 1 hit. The infield hit by Brett Gardner. And Saltalamacchia thought he had strike 3 there as he started to get ready to throw it around the infield.
I wonder how Youkilis is getting along with his new teammate Jabba Chamberlain. Because those two have a history as we look at that last pitch called inside. Jabba throwing it to Youkilis many times when he was a member of the Red Sox.
Numerous occasions.
He looks like he's in pretty good shape. Looks like he took off a few pounds in the offseason. Or maybe it's the Yankee pinstripes.
On the ground down the line at third. It's a fair ball. Jackie Bradley Jr. to the corner. Youkilis to second base. Rattles around down there, but Youkilis will pull it up right down the line with a leadoff double. It gets the bottom of the 4th inning started.
Now Youkilis turning on an inside pitch and hitting that ball very hard down that third base line. Fastball again that was up that time from Jon Lester, and Youkilis gets on top of it and rolls it all the way down into the corner. So the leadoff double here in the 4th inning.
It was an 8-pitch at bat, the longest at bat any Yankee has had today, and Youkilis ends up with a double after it. Takes us to Vernon Wells. Popped up, foul ground. That'll get to the seats. Wells acquired by the Yankees, along with cash considerations from the Angels. A couple minor leaguers obtained by the Angels in the deal. He did just .230 in 77 games with 11 home runs with the Angels last year. Missed more than 2 months of the year on the DL. Tearing a ligament in his right thumb on May 20th against the Padres. Missed a total of 55 team games for the Angels. Played for Toronto from 1999 through 2010. Where he did the bulk of his damage. Former first-round draft choice of the Jays, and then Angels in 2011, 2012. Down the line at third, but this time foul. Very close again.
That time Wells out in front of a breaking ball that time from Jon Lester and just missing down that third base line. Vernon Wells thought he might have had a fair ball, but not the case.
Almost gets a piece of Wells that time, bouncing in for ball one. No advance for Youkilis at second base.
After a couple of curveballs that have stayed up in the zone, that time Lester trying to get it back down in the zone and ends up bouncing it. Sabathia with another block.
Wells grounds it foul again, this time sharply and over by the Red Sox dugout. Leadoff double by Kevin Youkilis to get this, the bottom of the fourth inning, started. That was a long at bat for Youkilis. Now a good battle here. Lester and Wells. There's a 1-2. 2-2. Wells has perhaps lost a step in the outfield, but entering this season, the all-time major league leader in fielding percentage. I mean, 25 errors and 3,639 total chances in the outfield. A patient at bat here by Wells, and a full count. Wells now, Francisco next. Ball four, he loses Wells. Second walk surrendered by Lester. It's time for a game break, and Tom Caron, TC.
Thank you, Don. Bryce Harper off to a pretty good start for the Washington Nationals. His first at-bat against Ricky Nolasco of the Marlins. It's a home run. And then in his second at-bat, he faces Ricky Nolasco and hits another home run. He did just fly out, so he's 2 for 3, providing both runs in a 2-0 Nats lead. Don?
Big things expected for the Nationals this year, as Jon Lester has given up a double and a walk here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Yankees trying to climb back from a 4-run deficit here in the bottom of the fourth inning, and it brings up Ben Francisco, the DH for New York today, and he was the beneficiary of the first free pass for Jon Lester. Strike one.
Prior to that pitch, it's the first time today that Lester has fallen out of rhythm a little bit, leaving pitches up and out of the zone. Right back in the strike zone with the first pitch to Francisco.
Plastic bag making its way across the infield and makes its way back towards the screen. Windy on the field as light breeze to left center, and a pop-up foul ground. Sabathia moves around and makes the catch. First out of the fourth inning.
Not an easy play for Sabathia. This ball goes up. He finally finds it and tries to get that body in position where he can make a play, but had a tough time doing it. Ball always comes back toward the infield, and Sabathia had to play a little bit off to the side.
Kind of a swirling wind inside the new Yankee Stadium. Well, to welcome back fans to Fenway Park, kids 12 and under eat free. And thanks to Kayem and Aramark, Fenway Franks are 2 for 1 all April long with 17 home games to choose from. There's a game for everyone. Visit RedSoxDQT.com/tickets to choose your game today. One out, runners at first and second. Ichiro reached on a fielder's choice in the second. I want you to visit RedSox.com/tickets to choose your game today. A little bit of it's the difference between a Q and an O.
Yeah, but not much. Just a little line.
Wells at first, Youkilis at second, 1 down. Last of the fourth. Ichiro to right center. Ellsbury on the run, won't get there. Drops down for a hit. Everybody had to wait. So Youkilis now just takes third. Wells to second on the single to right center field for Ichiro.
Yeah, it looked like with the speed of Jacoby Ellsbury that maybe he had a chance to catch that ball, and that's what held Kevin Youkilis at second base. Ichiro's had great success in his career against Lester. 306 coming in with a couple of home runs, 1 for 2 today. There's the ball bouncing away, and the runners will have to hold up at the bases loaded situation.
Well, looking back on last year, and Jon Lester for the most part would rather not, Jerry, but in the fourth inning last year he had a 6.75 earned run average. It was one of his toughest innings, and here he is in a bases loaded 1 out situation in this fourth inning as Jason Nick stands in on the right side and takes ball 1. Had to dance a little bit to get out of the way. Youkilis at third, Wells at second, Ichiro at first. 1 out. First time that a Yankee has visited third base in the game. And the first time that Lester has been a tad out of whack. Fouled back, 1-1.
There's another pitch not exactly where John wanted it. That was up about letter high. But fortunately for him, fouled back by Nix.
Two and 1.
Change up upstairs.
The 25th pitch of the inning coming up for Lester. He's got 1 out. 2-1. Broken bat, foul ball. Barrel out by shortstop. So a new piece of wood for Jason Nix.
That's what cut fastballs will do to bats. Get that ball inside, shatter him right in half.
Told you earlier, Nix has terrific numbers against Lester. 3 home runs in his career. Waiting on a 2-2. Ball 3. Sixth full count for Lester. Third of this, the fourth inning for John. Bases loaded, 1 out. Nix will pop it up. Foul ground. Saltalamacchia won't have a play.
That's what Lester's looking for right now. Some kind of pop-up strikeout or a ground ball to an infielder to get a double play and get out of this mess.
Struck out Nix looking back in the second inning. Nix strikes out. Lester needed that, and he picks up his 5th strikeout. Timed well. 2 down.
Now that pitch was right down the middle of the plate. And I don't know what Nix might have been looking for with the bases loaded and 1 out. But he gets a fastball right down the middle of the plate and takes it. I mean, you got to be thinking there that Lester's coming with the fastball. He did. But caught looking as Nix did not even take a swing.
2 down, bases loaded. Francisco Cervelli batting out of the number 9 spot for New York. Flied out to the center fielder Jacoby Ellsbury in the 3rd inning. Youkilis at third base. Wells at second. Ichiro at first with 2 down. Lester threw 50 pitches through the first 3 innings. He's about to throw his 30th of this inning. It's an 0-1 to Cervelli. Did he go? They'll check. No, he did not, says Alfonso Marquez. Yankees have been held to 3 hits, 2 of which have come in this inning. 1-2.
Good cut fastball there by Lester, burying Cervelli down and in. If he makes contact on this, it's probably another broken bat.
Bases filled with the Yankees with 2 outs in the 4th inning. Cervelli lines it. A fair ball down the left field line. Youkilis is in. Wells is in. Ichiro to third. It's a 2-run single with 2 outs in the inning for Cervelli. He comes up big, and the Yankees grab a pair.
Now that ball just elevated a little bit higher than the one previous. And Cervelli jumps all over it. So the pest, as I call him, right down the third base line to get the Yankees back in the ball game.
He's got 51 career at bats against the Red Sox and 15 runs batted in. He has done his share of damage against the Red Sox. Juan Nieves, the Red Sox pitching coach, to the mound here to talk to Lester, who's about to face his 7th Yankee batter of the 4th inning. And we see our first action of the day in the Red Sox pen, Junichi Tozawa. This Yankees crowd back in it. So are the Yankees, grabbing 2 runs so far here in the 4th, and a big 2-run, 2-out single by Francisco Cervelli. Oh, stay with us after today's game for a complete recap of the Sox Yankees on WB Mason Extra Innings Live. TC and the gang will break down today's action, along with clubhouse reaction, interviews, and John Farrell's post-game press conference. WB Mason Extra Innings Live. You can't go wrong when you buy right. WB Mason. Brett Gardner batting with runners at first and third, 2 down. Ball one.
Now Lester, who was in a tremendous rhythm in the first 3 innings, has kind of lost that rhythm here in the 4th. And he's paid for it with a couple of runs given up so far.
3 hits and a walk for the Yankees. 2 runs in the inning. Gardner to right. Victorino on the move will get there to make the catch shy of the track to end the inning. Toughest inning of the day for Jon Lester. Surrenders 2 runs. The Red Sox lead it 4-2. Back at Yankee Stadium on opening day with the Red Sox on top 4-2 as we get ready for the top of the 5th inning. And a look at CC Sabathia's line. Accomplished on the mound today, presented by your Eastern Mass Lexus dealers. 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs. He walked 2 and struck out 5. The 4 runs all coming in the same inning. Now the Red Sox, who have been waiting to bat for a while here after a long bottom of the 4th inning for New York. It is Mike Napoli, Will Middlebrooks, and Jared Saltalamacchia coming up. Long wait for CC Sabathia, but his team grabs 2 runs. Napoli in his first 2 at-bats in a Red Sox uniform has struck out and flied to center. What differences did you see in Jon Lester in that inning, Jerry?
Yeah, a lot of pitches up in the zone. You know, he just was in a good rhythm, keeping everything down. The cut fastball was down. The changeup was down. The fastball was down. But that inning seemed like he got out of his mechanics a little bit and left more pitches up. And when you leave pitches up at the big league level, they're probably going to get hit.
Lester up to 84 pitches and a throw 34 pitches in that 4th inning. He was pretty well stretched out in spring training, but pitch count always a situation, especially early in the year, your first start of the year.
Meanwhile, Sabathia on the other side has got better. He had a lot of trouble in the 2nd inning. Actually had somebody warming up, but then struck out a couple of guys in the 3rd.
And just 1 hit since the 2nd inning, and now a ground ball right side. Cano ranges to his left and throws out Napoli. And more ground ball outs in the last couple of innings for CC Sabathia also, and he's got 1 down here in the 5th for Will Middlebrooks. 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to 3rd base in the 2nd, struck out swinging in the 3rd. A little bloop. First baseman Kevin Youkilis into foul ground. 2 down. So an 0 for 3 showing so far for Middlebrooks. Saltalamacchia coming up. A walk, a run scored, and a strikeout in his first 2 plate appearances today.
And very few pitches thrown this inning by Sabathia.
Saltalamacchia last year setting single season career highs in games. 121, got 104. That was also a career high for him. Career high 25 home runs. His 2nd full season with the Red Sox. Down 1-2.
Change up upstairs, but away from Saltalamacchia, and no contact. They get ahead of Saltalamacchia. They like to go up in the zone.
Rips it foul out ahead into the seats on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. 1-2.
Yeah, you can see Cervelli. He wanted that pitch higher than what it actually was. They wanted to see if Saltalamacchia would chase something high. Watch him put his glove up high, but the pitch is going to be right down the middle of the plate, and Saltalamacchia rifles it foul.
Four in a row retired by Sabathia, who has the first 2 outs quickly and quietly here in the 5th. Gomes waiting on deck. First 2-2. Ball 3. Sabathia with 5 strikeouts through 4 2/3 innings. He has walked 2. Both those walks came in the 2nd inning, and both of them scored. Saltalamacchia lines it into left field. Wells over to play it in the corner. Saltalamacchia thinking 2, and he will easily get into second base with a 2-out double, his first hit of the season.
Now, we talked about Saltalamacchia. When they get ahead, they try to go upstairs, both right-handed and left-handed, but this pitch is going to be down, and Saltalamacchia right down there with it with the top spin line drive up over the head of Jason Nix. That's going to run Wells to the corner, and the Red Sox have a man in scoring position with the 2 outs.
And Joe Girardi pops out of the dugout here for the Yankees with 2 outs in the 5th, and 88 pitches for CC Sabathia. While we have a moment, Sox fans, use your mobile device and social media to know where the Sox will be all season. Scan the code that's on your TV screen to download the complete 2013 Red Sox schedule. Nesson and Nesson.com have made it simple to keep your Sox on all summer long.
I have scanned the first week. I know we're going to be in New York and then Toronto. Try not to get ahead of myself too much.
No. 1 week at a time is good.
Exactly.
2 down. Saltalamacchia at second base, and Johnny Gomes, the batter. They will put on Gomes with first base open, and Jackie Bradley Jr. waiting on deck. I guess that was the discussion with Joe Girardi as he came to the mound.
That makes sense. Veteran hitter, guy that's been around a long time. Take a chance, lefty against the rookie.
Well, Jackie Bradley Jr. still looking for his first major league hit, Jenny, and his first major league game.
That's right, Don. And Jackie Bradley was just sitting on the players' plane coming from Fort Myers to New York City on Saturday night watching The Life of Pi when manager John Farrell approached him and said, not only have you made the team, but you're actually starting in left field Monday at Yankee Stadium. Farrell joked at 35,000 feet he couldn't have jumped any higher, but in all seriousness, Bradley handled it like he handles everything else. He took it in stride. And he said it speaks to the maturity of where he is as a person. And Don and Jerry, I think that you can see that in him as I can as well, just the maturity that he has. 22 years old.
Well, he hasn't appeared to be in awe of anything yet, of anything he's experienced at all in the time we've been around him, especially in spring training.
Yeah, this morning I saw him in the clubhouse, shook his hand, wished him the best, and he seemed very relaxed, like no big deal. Believe me, it's a big deal.
He'll foul it off, and even the count at 1-1. Action for New York as David Phelps, right-hander, is up for New York. They have 7 right-handers and 1 left-hander. Very short bench left for Joe Girardi. Ball 3, 3-1.
We really got to be patient. Look for a ball from the middle in. Fastball count.
The inside for ball 4, and he'll take his second walk of the game, and this will load the bases. MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Red Sox baseball with more live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at bat to 31826 or visit redsox.com for details.
Can I get that on my flip phone, Don?
I think you can.
Can I?
Sure. 2 down, bases loaded, and Iglesias looks at ball 1.
Starts him off with a changeup, and not even close for Sabathia.
Cervelli out to talk to Sabathia, nearing 100 pitches at 98 with 2 down here in the 5th. All this coming with 2 outs. Sabathia got 2 quick outs in Napoli and Middlebrooks, but a double by Saltalamacchia. An intentional walk to Gomes, and then he ends up walking Jackie Bradley Jr. to load the bases. One and one.
Ball's too high. But as pitchers would say, I've got to have that one.
One is inside. Ball 2, 2-1. Two and one. The count to Jose Iglesias with the bases loaded and 2 down. This one fouled back to the screen. 2-2. And Iglesias thinking about a grand slam back in 1991, April 8th at Toronto. Jack Clark, the grand slam for the Red Sox on opening day. Well, Dave Steve. Two and two, the count. 2 outs here in the 5th. Bases filled with Red Sox on top. 4-2. Popped up. Youkilis on to the outfield grass to put it away. Red Sox strand the bases loaded in the 5th inning. We're halfway through. 4-2 Sox.
And action.
That's a wrap.
What are you doing?
What? These Dunkin' wraps are delicious. Can I get a wrap too?
Try Dunkin's new chicken and tuna salad wraps with delicious cheddar cheese and bacon. Now that's a wrap. America runs on Dunkin'.
Day one on this journey, man. You know how many varsity spots I got? If you want to be one of those 12, you got to get better each and every day.
5 lines, on the line, get after it, all right? Set the tone, we go hard and fast early, guys. Hard and fast early.
30, get in there, son.
Are you going to look down and shame and say, man, I could have worked a little harder. I could have pushed it just a little bit harder? Don't let that happen. You got to do it all year long.
It's ice cream time anytime. Enjoy Dunkin's new Baskin-Robbins inspired iced coffee flavors. America runs on Dunkin'.
Senators, Bruins, Yankees. All season long, only one shot.
That's in there!
One goal.
Diggs, he scores!
Separated the Bruins from their division rival.
Timing is everything.
Tomorrow, the Senators start a 7-game road trip that begins and ends against the Bruins. Don't miss the one play that could hand another heartbreaker to Ottawa. Senators, Bruins. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30 on NESN.
NESN's coverage of Red Sox opening day is brought to you in part by Dunkin' Donuts and by Sullivan Tire.
Nice look at downtown Manhattan from New Jersey.
Well, it's on to the last half of the 5th inning, and Nunez trying to bunt his way on, fouls it off. Nunez 0 for 2 today. Lester back to the hill trying to enjoy a better 5th inning than the 4th. He surrendered 2 runs in the 4th inning.
Nunez just tried to bunt a ball that was over his head.
It's hard to
on
do.
The ground. That is hard to do.
The pitching line for Jon Lester brought to you by Ace Ticket. After the 1-1. And it's grounded foul. Nunez, Cano, and Youkilis featured here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Nunez, versatile in the infield. A second, short, and third. Starts at short in the absence of Jeter. 4+, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Here is pitch number 89. And it's good for strike 3. 6th strikeout for Jon Lester. Gets the 5th inning started well.
But still Lester up in the zone with that pitch. It was a changeup at 83 miles an hour. And no contact by Nunez. I'd like to see Jon get that ball down a little bit more. Like he had it back in the first 3 innings.
One down here in the 5th inning for Robinson Cano. Do you think fatigue is at all part of it here in his first outing of the year?
Well, he's getting up to that time of the ball game now where, you know, you're kind of maxed out in spring training and still trying to build on that a little bit. 90 pitches.
Cano on the ground, and that'll find its way into center field. His first hit of the season, and aboard with 1 out here in the 5th. One out, 1 on, and Kevin Youkilis coming up. Youkilis lined to right in the 1st and then doubled and scored in the 4th inning. In there for strike 1 to Youkilis. Tozawa had been up earlier in the Red Sox pen. Nobody warming right now. As Lester battled his way through the 4th inning, throwing 34 pitches and giving up 2 runs. To center field. Ellsbury has room. As he makes the catch for the 2nd out, Cano will make his way back to first. 2 down. Well, the Bruins return to the Garden tomorrow night, and NESN has all the action when the Bees take on the Northeast Division rival Ottawa. Every point in crucial Bruins season head into their final month of the regular season. So be sure to tune in for all the excitement. It's the Bruins and Senators tomorrow night live on NESN beginning at 6:30.
Every point right now is huge.
Two outs with Cano at first base. And the pitch in there for a strike. Wells is grounded to short, walked and scored a run. This is line down the left field line, foul into the seats.
Action out in that bullpen for the Yankees, so Sabathia may be done for the day.
David Phelps, who had been up last inning, getting ready for, it appears, the top half of the 6th inning. 2 outs, Cano at first, and an 0-2 pitch. Wells will strike out looking. He knew it. Takes with him the 7th K for Jon Lester on the day. We are through 5. Sox on top by 2. 4-2. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees as we head to the top half of the 6th inning. The Yankees making a change, and today's call to the bullpen is brought to you by the New England Ford dealers. As David Phelps, who is going to start for the Yankees on Saturday against Detroit, getting work out of the pen today. One of the 7 right-handed relievers they have out in the pen today, and here he is. 33 appearances last year, 4-4, the 3.34 earned run average. And he had been warming up last inning. Comes into the game for CC Sabathia here to pitch the 6th. CC done after 5 today, and it looks like Lester is done as well, as he got some hugs from his teammates and conversation with John Farrell and Juan Nieves at the end of his outing today. Red Sox have action in the pen as Koji Uihara is warming up in the Red Sox pen. So Phelps ready to deal with the top of the Red Sox order here in the 6th as Ellsbury takes ball 1. Ellsbury popped out in the 1st, reached on a fielder's choice in the 2nd, and then got his first hit in 2013 in the 4th inning. Your thoughts on CC Sabathia today?
Mixed bag. You know, I thought he pitched pretty well after the 2nd inning where he got in trouble, gave up the 4 runs. After that, he seemed to settle down, but the pitch count very high. He came completely out of his game, it seemed like, in the 2nd inning when the Red Sox got the 4 runs. But then settled down and pitched like CC Sabathia. So, you know, a fairly good start for both guys, Sabathia and Jon Lester. Lester a little bit better.
He's got the 4-2 lead as Ellsbury swings at the 2-2 and lines it foul. Lester and Saltalamacchia talking over the outing today. A 7 strikeout performance today for Lester. 5 innings, 96 pitches. And ran into trouble in the 4th inning. Appeared to be a little bit out of sync and gave up 2 runs in the inning. 3 hits and a walk. 2-2 again. And it's lined towards the gap in right center field. That'll get down and head to the track of the wall. Ellsbury headed to second base and beyond. He is thinking 3. Throw from Cano will be. It'll hit the runner. And Ellsbury will be safe at 3rd with a triple.
Now Jacoby, for the first time today, gets to operate against a right-handed pitcher. And when this ball left the bat, there was no question it was going to be 2. But with Ellsbury's speed, he turns it into 3. That ball running all the way out to the 385 marker near the bullpen area. And by the time they track it down and get it back in, Ellsbury rounding second and making that decision on his own to go to 3rd base.
24th career triple for Ellsbury, but it has been a while. September of 2011. Infield in, and Cano will look Ellsbury back and throw to 1st for the out. So it works out there for the Yankees as Ellsbury holds at 3rd base. Victorino's out number 1.
Yeah, the Yankees down by 2, getting into the middle part of this ball game, bringing that infield in. And that time, obviously, the Red Sox with nobody out, not going on contact. Had there been 1 out, there's a chance they may have gone on contact, but not with nobody out.
1 down now. Ellsbury 90 feet away, and here's Dustin Pedroia. 2 hits here on opening day. And a run batted in. Infield still in, and there's strike 1. Infield right up to the lip of the grass now for Pedroia.
Yeah, because there is more of a chance now of him going with 1 out in the inning.
Framed by Cervelli, but it's outside. On the ground, picked at third by Nix, coming home. The tag, and out at the plate is Ellsbury. So the infield in works twice for the Yankees, this time at the plate to keep it a 2-run game.
A lot of times with nobody out, they will not send that runner on contact because they're playing for a big inning. Once it becomes 1 out, then all of a sudden the big inning decreases, and that's when they go on contact. And that time they do go on contact, but plenty of time to get Ellsbury at home plate. Jason Nix a couple of steps to his left, the sidearm throw home, and Cervelli able to make that tag and cut down the runner.
Red Sox 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position in this one, as Napoli looks at strike one. Pedroia at first on the fielder's choice with now 2 outs in the inning. 0-2. CC Sabathia for 5 innings today. David Phelps working here in the 6th inning. One, 2 to Mike Napoli. In the dirt, Cervelli knocks it down, get rid of the mask in a hurry, and no advance for Pedroia at first base.
Cervelli expecting the breaking ball to be in the dirt. Most catchers will tell you that's probably the easiest one to block. Blocks it, keeps the man at first base and out of scoring position.
In the air to left. Well started back, now comes in and makes the catch. Well, the Yankees cutting down a run at the plate is with the infield in. Jason Nix coming homeward, able to nab Jacoby Ellsbury.
Jon, I think all the Red Sox players truly understand the importance of giving back, and you can see it in every time that they interact with kids from the Jimmy Fund or different organizations. They realize that they have this unique opportunity to make a kid or family's day by spending time with them, signing autographs, taking pictures. We saw it this spring training with the Jimmy Fund group that came to spring training, and you could see that players actually truly enjoy spending the time with these kids.
Well, Red Sox have certainly had a great partnership with the Jimmy Fund over the years, and a lot of great stories will be coming up this season. We look forward to many more as we move on to the last half of the 6th inning back at Yankee Stadium, and the new pitcher first out of the pen for the Red Sox, Koji Uihara, who had a terrific spring and a great year last year for the Rangers. 37 appearances, no record, a nifty 1.75 ERA, but the number that jumps out, 43 strikeouts to 3 walks. And opponents hitting at just 160 against Uihara after 9 years of pitching professionally in Japan. Time with the Rangers and Orioles, and in his first year with the Red Sox, and part of what appears, Jerry, to be an extremely strong bullpen to begin the year for the Red Sox.
Yeah, very deep bullpen, and gets his first opportunity here in game 1 as Uihara coming in here in the 6th inning.
So Lester today, 5 innings, giving up 5 hits and 2 runs, both coming in the 4th inning. He would walk 2 and strike out 7. Travis Hafner pinch hitting for Ben Francisco, pops it up left side of the infield. The shift on, it is only Iglesias on the left side of the infield, and equidistant between second and third makes the catch.
They really got in tight on Hafner that time, jammed him pretty good, and got that little pop up to the shortstop Iglesias.
So former Indian. Travis Hafner is out number 1 of the 6th inning. And it brings up Ichiro. Ichiro reaching on a fielder's choice in the 2nd, singled in the 4th, and pops one up. Down from 3rd is Middlebrooks, who puts it away, 2 down.
One thing about Uihara, he is a strike thrower. He just does not walk many people at all, and he's come into this game throwing strikes. The result, a couple of pop-ups.
So 2 down and a pinch hitter coming up here for New York. After 0 for 2 showing for Jason Nix against Lester. It'll be Lyle Overbay, who was with the Red Sox during spring training, and as soon as he was released by the Red Sox, made the trip to Tampa and joined the Yankees that day. And they were in need of Lyle Overbay, and here he is. So Lyle a lot during spring training. As he takes strike 1 from Uihara. In the air to left field. Jackie Bradley Jr. had started back, now comes in and takes care of out number 3. A quick and easy 1-2-3-5 pitch inning for Koji Uihara. Red Sox have a 4-2 lead as we head to the top half of the 7th inning, and some defensive changes here for the Yankees. As at third base, Kevin Youkilis moving from 1st to 3rd. And into the game pinch hitting last inning was Lyle Overbay, stays in at first base. Koji Uihara with an impressive 1-2-3 inning on 5 pitches. Will Middlebrooks leads it off here in the 7th inning. Middlebrooks, Saltalamacchia, and Gomes. As the Red Sox have the 2-run advantage. Quiet day at the plate so far today for Will. He is grounded out to 3rd, struck out, and fouled out. I know guys, Jerry, like to get that first hit out of the way. Well, you've talked many times about how opening day would go for you, sometimes how you'd think the whole season is going to go for you.
Exactly right. And, you know, you get that off day tomorrow, too, to think about it all day long. It's good to get a win, good to get that first hit, first ground ball, get them all out of the way. Andrew Miller loosening in the Red Sox bullpen. Look where Overbay is playing for Middlebrooks. He is about halfway between first base and second base.
In there for strike 2, 2-2. Then he'll skip in for ball 3. Phelps back out there for another inning of relief. Mentioned he's scheduled to start on Saturday, so chance for him to work out of the bullpen today. Saltalamacchia. Then Gomes, anticipated here in the 7th inning. Red Sox scoring 4 times in the 2nd inning. Pedroia with an RBI single. Shane Victorino, the 2-run single. Jose Iglesias with an RBI single as part of the 4-run attack. Grounder foul, still 3-2. Yankees get their 2 runs in the 4th inning off Jon Lester. A 2-run, 2-out single by Francisco Cervelli, number 9 batter in the 4th inning. It's all the scoring in this one. Ball 4 and a leadoff walk for Middlebrooks. Now Koji Uihara with a 5-pitch bottom of the 6th inning He's gone the extra mile in this game, and his efforts are recognized by Firestone. Knows a thing or two about helping us go the extra mile. Able to make quick work of Hafner, Suzuki, and Overbay. 2 pinch hitters in that inning. Leadoff walk for Will Middlebrooks here in the 7th, and Saltalamacchia fouls off the first pitch. It is clouded over again here at Yankee Stadium. The sun had come back again, but now cloud covered Yankee Stadium as we play into the afternoon here. And
it's starting to look a little bit more like rain showers heading in this direction. Still comfortable conditions, although this feels like they've dropped a little bit.
Saltalamacchia has been on twice today, a walk and a double. Starting to get much darker. The lights are not on yet here at Yankee Stadium, but I wonder if they're not far away. One and two. Double-barreled action for New York in their pen. Boone Logan has been joined by Sean Kelly. In the dirt, Cervelli again sprawling to his right, able to block it.
Yeah, both catchers today in this game have been very busy blocking balls down in the dirt. Both Cervelli and Saltalamacchia try the slide at that time, and again blocked by Cervelli. Keeping Middlebrooks at first base, out of scoring position.
Well, it's opening day here at Yankee Stadium in New York. The Red Sox and Yankees. Greatest rivalry in sports renewed here today. Don Orsillo, Jerry Remy, and Jenny Dell from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. 4-2 Red Sox lead as we play here in the top half of the 7th inning. Lead runner on, and Will Middlebrooks with a walk and a packed house, as you might imagine, at Yankee Stadium.
I tell you, the city was very, very quiet yesterday, Easter Sunday, here in New York, and with the exception of a few parades, it was very quiet downtown.
Saltalamacchia fouling it off, still 2-2. I'm told the city was actually very busy. You just never left your room. That was the.
That's not true.
Very busy yesterday. In fact, one of the busiest days of the year, they said yesterday in New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't seem that way.
2-2 is grounded down the first base line outside of first.
I actually left the room twice yesterday. I went
Really?
to Starbucks to get a coffee. And then I also went to dinner last night about a block away from the hotel.
Wow.
So, but what I saw was not very busy.
The entire block? Did you take a cab?
No, I hoofed it. I should take you there tonight. It was a very good meal.
Really?
Yeah.
Spinning is Saltalamacchia out of the box.
Jerry, I actually walked downstairs yesterday, and I have to admit I saw you sitting in the lobby. I asked what you were doing, and you said, "I'm just sitting here."
Not the first time that's happened, not the last.
That's true.
Nobody likes sitting in the lobby like you.
Well, I don't go crazy sitting in the lobby.
No, but you like it.
I like people watching. You know. Yeah.
Second inning of relief here for David Phelps.
Well, plus, you do have to leave your room to get it clean, too.
Aha. Ball 4, and Saltalamacchia, good at bat, ends up working the walk, back-to-back walks given up by Phelps. Well, for every Red Sox game that goes into extra innings or one where the Sox get a save, CBS Pharmacy make a donation to Boston Children's Hospital as they aim for a goal of $25,000 in donations this season. Saltalamacchia has been very patient at the plate, 23 pitches in his first 4 at bats today, and picks up his second walk. 2 on, nobody out, and Johnny Gomes the batter. Gomes has been on twice, single and an intentional walk in the 5th inning. Inside 1-1. Johnny Gomes last year with the Oakland A's had a career high on base percentage of 377. Mentioned the 18 home runs in the 99 games played for the Oakland A's. It's a fly ball to right field down the line. Ichiro headed over towards the corner on the dirt of the track. Makes the catch. Spins and fires back in, but Middlebrooks tags and moves to third. Nice grab by Ichiro. That became a difficult play in the corner.
Yeah, Ichiro still a very, very good outfielder. Can track him down with the best of them, but a good out there by Johnny Gomes. He gets the man at third base with less than 2 outs, and out comes Joe Girardi with Bradley Jr. coming to the plate. Probably get Boone Logan.
So the change here as David Phelps is done as he gets 1 out here in the 7th inning after working the 6th. Boone Logan on his way in.
You'll hit a home run with the quality, choice, and extreme springtime values at My Bob's Discount Furniture. Watch closely. I have so many sofa and love seat sets for only $7.99 each, you can barely see them all in one commercial. Every style and color you can imagine, in fabric and bonded leather. Nowhere but at My Bob's will you find this quality, choice, and at only $7.99 each, extreme value. Sorry, Mr. Wannabe, I've got the lowest prices every day.
Liverpool, winners in 3 of their last 4 matches. And with only 9 matches left in the season, the world's most historic soccer club looks to keep momentum on its side when it faces Aston Villa. The Premier League match of the week, tomorrow at 4 on NESN.
The 2013 Chevy Silverado 1500 has the best pickup coverage in America with a new 2-year 24,000-mile scheduled maintenance program, a 3-year 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, and a 5-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. We've got you covered 8 ways to Sunday. Come to think of it, Sunday too. Right now, Chevy truck owners can trade up to a Silverado All-Star Edition and get a total value of $7,500. See your New England Chevy dealer today.
First reactions from the field, John Farrell's thoughts on the game, and in-depth analysis from NESN's team of Red Sox legends. It's the insider's perspective you won't get anywhere else. WB Mason Red Sox Extra Innings Live, immediately following every game on NESN.
Today's game summary is brought to you by Xfinity from Comcast. Red Sox have a 4-2 lead in the top half of the 7th inning. Jon Lester went 5 innings today. Has a chance for his first victory of the year on this opening day. Jose Iglesias with a couple of hits. Shane Victorino driving in 2, and Jackie Bradley Jr. has 2 walks so far in his debut. Also with a nice defensive play in left field. CC Sabathia goes the first 5, had trouble in the second, giving up 4 runs. And Kevin Youkilis in his first day in pinstripes, a 1-for-3 showing with a double and a run scored. Started the game at first base, now has moved over to third base as the Red Sox have runners at first and third with 1 out. And Jackie Bradley Jr. will be facing the new Yankees pitcher Boone Logan, who comes into the game for New York. Logan appeared in 80 games last year, 7-2 with a 3.74 earned run average, 68 strikeouts to 28 walks. Opponents hitting at .234 against Logan, making his 6th career opening day roster, 4th as a Yankee. Kind of a tough spring. 6.75 ERA during the spring. The 80 appearances he had last year, a career high. In fact, marked the most single season relief appearances by a left-handed pitcher in Yankees history. The 80 relief appearances a year ago.
And this may be one batter and out for him facing the lefty Jackie Bradley Jr.
Infield in at the corners, halfway in the middle. Still playing for the possible double play with one out, runners at first and third. And it shows bunt pulls back. And Cervelli bluffed as if he was going to throw to third, and Middlebrooks diving back to the bag.
Yeah, no squeeze play put on that time by the Red Sox, just a fake bunt by Bradley.
Jackie Bradley Jr. tweeting his thanks to everybody who thanked him. Shows bunt again, pulling back, and Cervelli looking towards third again. 2-0. Swinging away and sends it foul down the left field line out of play.
Had a good pitch to work on there. Had himself that 2-0 count. Got the fastball middle in, but fouls it off on the third base way. That's the kind of pitch you're looking for in a 2-0 count. Shoulder leaving a little bit too soon that time for Bradley Jr.
Won't turn 23 until April the 19th as he makes his major league debut today. And really able to jump out of the way of that. 3-1. It's down to Brian Butterfield in third base coach's box. On the ground, off the pitcher. Logan, it kicks out to second. The throw to first in time for the out. But a run scores, and Middlebrooks, who comes in from third and puts the Red Sox on top 5-2. First RBI in the big leagues for Jackie Bradley Jr.
Ball hit hard on the 3-1 count right off the glove of Boone Logan. And it deflects, unfortunately for Bradley, right to Robinson Cano. But a big run comes across for the Red Sox to give them now that 3-run cushion.
So Saltalamacchi at second, and Iglesias the batter. He's already had a good day. 2 hits from the number 9 spot, and a run driven in. Swinging a foul tip, 0-2. Iglesias thought about it as it misses down and in. Stephen Drew beginning the year in the 7-day DL. He's hit in the bill of the helmet by a pitch at Hammond Stadium against the Minnesota Twins. First thought was fine, then ended up failing the Major League Baseball testing on concussions. And is still trying to work his way back. 1-2 fouled back. Well, stay with us after today's game for a complete recap of the Sox and Yankees on WB Mason Extra Innings Live. You see in the gang a breakdown of today's action along with clubhouse reaction, interviews, and John Farrell's post-game press conference. WB Mason Extra Innings Live. Can't go wrong when you buy right. WB Mason. 2 outs in the 7th. A run in. 1-2. 2-2. Sabathia for 5 innings today. David Phelps an inning into 3rd. And Boone Logan has recorded an out since coming in. And now a grounder down the third baseline softly. Youkilis will not have a play. Turns and bluffs the throw to third, but hits slowly, and Iglesias down the line has picked up his 3rd hit of the day.
1 bunt base hit, pushed toward first base. This is a swinging bunt toward third base, and no play at all for Kevin Youkilis. Youkilis is going to fake a throw to first base, see if he can catch Saltalamacchia rounding third. Salty just staying close to the bag, so no play at third base for Youkilis.
So that ties a career high for Iglesias, who had 1 3-hit game last year, and he's got 1 today. Nice start to the season for him. 1st and 3rd, 2 down. Ellsbury now 2 for 4 today. Tripled in his last at bat and takes strike 1. Logan left in there to face left-handed hitting Jacoby Ellsbury. Ball and a strike now to Ellsbury. Move the center fielder Brett Gardner a step or 2 towards left center to take Ellsbury the other way. Ellsbury's triple went to right center last time up, but here in a lefty-lefty situation. Saltalamacchia at 3rd. Iglesias crossed the diamond at 1st. There's strike 2. Ellsbury started the past 5 opening games for the Red Sox. David Ortiz, who had started 9 in a row, and Dustin Pedroia now 7 in a row. 1-2. Broken bat, little bloop that'll be caught at shortstop by Nunez. So the Red Sox able to pick up a run in the top half of the 7th inning. The first RBI in the major leagues for Jackie Bradley Jr. and the Red Sox now enjoy a 3-run lead. On top 5-2. It is 7th inning stretch from Yankee Stadium in New York on this opening day as we send it down to the field for God Bless America.
Welcome back to Yankee Stadium. Red Sox up 5-2. Donadero, you mentioned Stephen Drew, the fact that he's still waiting to get those MLB mandated concussion tests passed. Another big guy that we're waiting for, David Ortiz. John Farrell said that obviously David Ortiz is up here. He's going to stay here throughout the New York series until he returns back to Florida. He's hoping he can get into some game action shortly after that. Ortiz ran today, said his heel feels more stable than before in his previous setbacks. You can look at the numbers right here. These are the team's numbers while they had Ortiz in the lineup and after he was put on the DL. Don, a huge difference maker.
No doubt about it. And the Red Sox hoping to get David Ortiz back sooner rather than later, as David will be headed back down to Florida again to continue baseball activities, and was able to do some running in the outfield as we saw right before we left. which was a good sign with David coming here for opening day to begin the season with his teammates. As Red Sox have injury problems of their own. We've talked a lot about the Yankees today, and Granderson, Teixeira, Jeter, and A-Rod, but Red Sox certainly need David Ortiz and Stephen Drew back as we play along to the bottom of the 7th inning. Francisco Cervelli, the Yankees catcher, leads it off. And Andrew Miller, with his first pitch, almost hits Cervelli. Miller becomes a third arm used by John Farrell today. 53 appearances last year, the 3-2 mark, 3.35 earned run average. Opponent's hitting under 200 against Miller at 194. And again into Cervelli.
Well, as we move deeper into this ball game, temperatures starting to drop here at Yankee Stadium, and the wind starting to pick up quite a bit. Another fastball inside by Miller to Cervelli. That's 2 in a row.
Three 3-0. Miller's appeared in 7 major league seasons since being selected in the first round in 2006. There's a strike. Cervelli taking a step towards first, but gets the bad news from Ted Barrett. His 4th last year in opponent average at the 194 we showed you. Not close, and a leadoff walk for the number 9 man, Francisco Cervelli. That's the thing Miller wanted to do. Be sure to get caught up on everything you need to know about the Sox before every game this season with the Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. Essence pregame coverage of the Red Sox begins an hour before every game. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union, banking the DCU way. Cervelli a walk to begin things in the 7th. Now back up top for Brett Gardner. Singled in the 3rd inning. And takes ball 1.
Right now Miller trying to do anything to throw a strike. He tries a slider right there, but he can't get that over the plate. That front shoulder's been flying open for Miller, and a lot of these pitches have been taken off on him.
Napoli holding on. Cervelli at first base. 1-0. In there for strike 1-1. 96 miles an hour that time from Miller. It's the hardest pitch he's thrown.
And that was just to get me over fastball.
In there for strike 2. Back to back good fastballs. Miller, the 2nd Red Sox reliever out of the pen. After 5 innings from their opening day starter, Jon Lester. Koji Uihara had a 1-2-3 6th. 1-2 is ball 2. 2-2. Lester with a chance to grab the win today. He went the minimum to make himself eligible. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. Walked a couple and struck out 7 through 96 pitches today in his first go around of the year. Full count now to Gardner. Ball 4. Back-to-back walks for Miller here in the 7th. Andrew Bailey warming in a hurry in the pen. Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox, never forgets that before you're a patient, you're a person. Beth Israel Deaconess, human first. Learn more at bidmc.org/human first. Nieves coming out.
Yeah, control problems for Andrew Miller, both with his fastball, his breaking ball. He tried to put Gardner away on a breaking ball, but missed down and away. And well, the last thing you want to do when you come in late in ball games like this is walk batters, and he's walked 2 to start off the 7th inning.
Well, earlier we had our AT&T trivia question. Only 2 Red Sox that have hit 5 home runs or more in their opening day careers. Who are they? The answer is Carl Yastrzemski with 6 and Dwight Evans with 5. Jim Rice and Ted Williams both hit 3. Current Red Sox David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia have hit 2. No other active players hit an opening day homer for the Sox. Of course, Dwight Evans on opening day back in 1986 on the very first pitch of the season to begin that season for the Red Sox. Took it out at Old Tiger Stadium. And of course the Red Sox losing the World Series later on that year to the Mets. But that's how that season started. Eduardo Nunez with 2 on and nobody out. Strike 1. Nunez 0 for 3. Grounded out and has struck out twice. All of that was against the Red Sox starter Jon Lester today. Defensive swing, and it's 0-2.
Now you got position with Nunez where he'll chase. Don't have to throw him a strike in this situation. No balls and 2 strikes, as he will chase some bad pitches. Very late on that fastball.
Line down the left field line, foul. Cervelli at second base, Gardner at first base, nobody out in the Yankees 7th inning. Red Sox adding a run in the top half of this inning. There's strike 3. So Miller, after the 2 walks, comes back and strikes out Nunez. 3rd time today that Nunez is down by way of the K.
Now Nunez missed his pitch on the 0-2 count. It was a breaking ball that stayed up in the zone, and then he comes back with a fastball, does Miller, and Nunez just looks at it. So now comes a Cano-Miller matchup.
Robinson Cano reaching on a wild pitch in the first. Went to the warning track, but was retired in the 3rd. And then singled in the 5th. Nieves checking on Andrew Bailey in the pen, who appears to be ready out there. As Miller gets ready to face Cano. Swing and a miss.
Cano's sitting on fastball that time and didn't get it. Got the slider from Miller, and looked bad on the swing. You don't see Cano look that bad on a swing very often.
Some tough numbers against Miller in his career. He's had trouble with the tall lefty. And Cano fouls this off. 0-2.
Back-to-back sliders. Breaking ball again here from Andrew Miller, and Cano staying in a little bit better that time.
Cano lines it down the right field line, foul. Good contact and just outside the line, down the right field line.
Yeah, and Miller not happy with himself at all, leaving that breaking ball on the inside part of the plate. They wanted to go away with it. It stays inside, and that's certainly a hittable pitch for Cano.
Cervelli at second, Gardner at first, 1 out of the 7th. Miller is ahead of Robinson Cano, 0-2. Just nearly missed extra bases. Now it takes ball one. Fourth batter that Andrew Miller has faced since coming in. And Bailey ready in the pen. You have Youkilis waiting on deck. Two and two. Cano strikes out. Miller tied him up with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, in the back of the mind of Cano, he's got to be thinking about that breaking ball. He's seen plenty of them from Andrew Miller. All of a sudden, here comes that fastball, and he's not ready for it. A huge out, huge strikeout for Miller. John Farrell now going to the bullpen.
So 2 walks and 2 Ks. Bailey coming in. 5-2 Red Sox over the Yankees with 2 outs in the 7th. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. on 93.7 FM and here on NESN. Dennis and Callahan have your complete wrap-up of the Sox season opener. You'll hear from John Farrell and Jon Lester, and they'll discuss Jackie Bradley Jr.'s Major League debut. DNC will take your calls all morning long. It's the most listened to morning show in New England. Tomorrow at 6 on WEI 93.7 FM and right here on NESN. Andrew Miller, kind of a strange outing. 2 walks, but 2 strikeouts and a 97-mile-an-hour fastball that he gets by Robinson Cano. Last batter that he faces, he departs with 2 on and hands the baseball off to Andrew Bailey. Last year, after being on the DL for more than half the season, 19 games total, 1-1. 7.04 ERA for Bailey. When he was the closer, he was 6 out of 9 in save opportunities a year ago. He has surrendered that role to Joel Hanrahan this season, and coming in here with 2 on 2 outs to face Kevin Youkilis. Youkilis takes strike 1. Bailey led the Red Sox in appearances this spring. He appeared in 11 Grapefruit League games, 2.53 earned run average in the spring, and baffles Youkilis 0-2.
Good curveball there by Andrew Bailey. Started him off with a fastball right down the middle. Comes back with the curveball, and Youkilis right on top of it.
Youkilis in his career 0 for 4 against Bailey with a couple of strikeouts. Bailey last year missing the team's first 116 games, recovering from right thumb surgery in a play that occurred early in spring training last year. Youkilis fouls it off to the right. We'll do it again, 1-2.
95 on that last fastball from Bailey. Away from Youkilis, but makes contact. Gives himself another chance.
Wells on deck. Here's a 1-2 again to Youkilis. Swing and a miss, elevated at 95 and strikes out Youkilis. So Bailey comes in and gets his job done nicely. Sox on top by 3. Youkilis down by way of the K.
Andrew Bailey winning the battle against Kevin Youkilis. Red Sox lead at 5-2. Bailey goes upstairs with the fastball, the swing and miss. There's the reaction from Bailey. Got the big strikeout, and Youkilis just will bang his head with the bat.
So Bailey gets his job done, and the Yankees bring on a 4th pitcher here as we head to the top of the 8th inning. After Boone Logan worked 2/3 of an inning, it is now Sean Kelly who comes into the game. Last year with the Mariners, 47 games, 2-4, the 3.25 earned run average, 45 Ks to 15 walks, and opponents sitting at 256 against Sean Kelly, making his 3rd career opening day roster. Been on the opening day roster for the Mariners in 2009 and 2010. Last year saw most of his season with AAA Tacoma in the Mariners organization. It was closing games for them, 6 saves, a 0.90 earned run average a year ago. He will deal with 2, 3, and 4 in the Red Sox lineup. Victorino, Pedroia, and Napoli expected here in the 8th.
Well, Victorino had a very big hit back in the 2nd inning to drive in 2 runs, followed by a Pedroia base hit to drive in a run.
In there for strike 1 to Victorino. A 2-run single coming back in the 2nd inning, part of a 4-run 2nd inning for the Red Sox. That'll miss, and it's 2-1. Sean Kelly taking over for Boone Logan, who went 2/3 of an inning, giving up a hit, no runs, no walks, and no strikeouts in his outing. Seen Sabathia for 5, Phelps for an inning and a 1/3, Boone Logan for 2/3. That'll just miss, and it's 3-1. On the ground towards 3rd, Youkilis on the run and in time to get Victorino. 1 down in the 8th. Hess and Hess Express are proud sponsors of the Red Sox, and the Red Sox on NESN during the 2013 season. Hess and Hess Express will donate $500 to the Red Sox Foundation for every home run hit by the Red Sox. Hess and Hess Express committed to helping the cause. 1 out in the Red Sox 8th, and here is Dustin Pedroia. Pedroia with hits in each of his first 2 at bats, a single in the 1st, single in the 2nd. Since then he has grounded out twice. His single in the 2nd produced a run. On the ground, Nunez to his left around the bag at 2nd. The throw is good, and there are 2 outs here in the 8th.
Now, so far it has been a clean game for both teams. Not an error on the board for either the Red Sox or the Yankees this afternoon.
Two down here in the 8th for Mike Napoli in his first day in a Red Sox uniform. 0 for 4. He struck out, flied out, grounded out, and then flied out again. Lifts this foul down the right field line, out of play. On the ground, foul outside of 3rd, and it's 0-2. As we look to the bottom of the 8th inning for the Yankees, Shinichi Tozawa, who's warming in the pen right now for the Red Sox. Wells, Hafner, and Suzuki are the scheduled batters in the 8th. Bailey obviously did not throw a lot of pitches to end the 7th, just faced 1 batter. 0-2 pitch is outside, 1-2. Swing and a miss, and Kelly has a 1-2-3 8th inning. Red Sox go in order and quietly, but enjoy a 3-run lead. Easy as it turns out, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a nice trip to New Haven. You got off at the right stop. You got back to New York in plenty of time. And
it's a little dicey in the beginning. I looked at the board and there was no New Haven. I didn't know that.
It said Boston.
Boston is a stop on the way to Boston is New Haven. They don't list that on the big board. So at first I was ready to call you and just blow you up after telling me how easy it was going to be.
Well, you made it.
Yeah, I made it.
And you had a nice Easter Sunday.
I did indeed. Shinichi Tozawa. The end of the game here for the bottom of the 8th. 37 appearances last year, 1-1 with a 1.43 earned run average. 45 strikeouts to 5 walks last year, and a terrific year for him. He made his major league debut for the Red Sox here on this mound at Yankee Stadium. Gave up a tough walk-off home run to Alex Rodriguez at the time. He's had Tommy John since then and has come back very well. Terrific year last year for him. And Vernon Wells leads it off here in the bottom of the 8th with a fly ball to right as Victorino onto the dirt of the track to make the catch for the first out of the 8th.
Yeah, that wind right now is really shifted. It's blowing out toward right field right now. And that ball, that wind carried that ball more toward the corner than it would have earlier in the ball game. As the temperatures do continue to drop here at Yankee Stadium.
There's Travis Hafner, who pinch hit for Ben Francisco on the DH spot in the 6th inning. Popped out to short his first time up. The shift is on again here for the Red Sox, and it is got Pedroia in short right. As this one is sent foul off to the left, they leave Iglesias as the only infielder on the left side of the infield. They bring Middlebrooks from third to the second base spot as part of John Farrell's setup here.
Yeah, that's the way he likes to do it. He actually at Toronto he had Brent Laurie back where Pedroia is at that second base spot, but Pedroia comfortable deep in the outfield making that throw to first base, so they leave him there.
In the dirt. Strange to see Hafner in a Yankees uniform after all the years that he spent in Cleveland with the Indians. 11th career opening day roster, first with the Yankees. Hit it just 200 in 18 spring training games. Had right knee soreness and lower back inflammation at 2 stints on the DL last year. Limited to 66 games in what worked out to be his final season with the Indians. Hit a .228 last year, only 12 home runs for Hafner. And has had a hard time staying on the field. Swinging a foul that jars the mask right off Saltalamacchia.
That's a Tozawa 96 on that last fastball, so he's up there with the velocity of an Andrew Miller.
Yankees have action in their pen as Chaba Chamberlain warming in the pen. What do you think of the stash? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. For someone who wears one, I'm not sure about that one.
1-2. He gets jammed and fouls it off. Still 1-2. Lined into right center, right through that shift, and thinking about throwing to first was Victorino. He took a look. He got to him so quickly on a line from Hafner, but Hafner aboard with a 1-out base hit.
Yeah, right through the shift that time, over the head of Middlebrooks. You can see the hard charge put on there by Victorino. He's thinking about it, but really did not have a chance at first base to get Travis Hafner. It happens a lot in the National League because the outfield is placed so shallow in the opposite field, especially in right field against, a right-handed hitter. They'll take a shot at first base on those pitches.
1 out, 1 on. And Ichiro Suzuki, the batter. 1 for 3. There's strike 1 to Ichiro. He singled back in the 4th inning. As one of the 6 hits compiled by the Yankees today. Red Sox out hitting New York 10-6. Back to the mound. Tazawa to second for 1, on to first for 2. Double play. That wraps up the 8th. Tazawa gets it started. We head to the 9th with the Sox on top by 3. (5-2). Red Sox have the lead as we head to the top half of the 9th inning. Red Sox will have Middlebrooks, Saltalamacchia, and Gomes scheduled to face Jabba Chamberlain, who comes into the game for New York, their 5th pitcher of the game. And Chamberlain in 22 games last year, 1-0 with a 4.35 earned run average. Ended up getting 20 2/3 innings when it's hit at .302 against Chamberlain. And of course, the long road back for him after Tommy John surgery. Bouncing back quickly. Also had a right ankle dislocation as well. Was transferred to the 60-day DL last year. It's the Yankees' first 102 games of the season. Red Sox closer Joel Hanrahan warming in the Boston pen. And it'll be a bottom of the 9th inning that has the 8, 9, and 1 batters expected for New York. As the Red Sox have used Uihara, Miller, Bailey, and Tazawa in relief of their opening day starter Jon Lester, who went the first 5. Covidien, delivering innovative healthcare products across the globe, is a proud sponsor of the Red Sox Foundation. Well, Middlebrooks looking for his first hit of 2013. He was grounded out, struck out, fouled out, walked, and scored. And now starts things in the top of the 9th inning. In there for strike 1. Saltalamacchia on deck, then Johnny Gomes expected here in the top half of the 9th. This one fouled off to the right, out of play. 95 miles an hour from Chamberlain. Foul back again, still 1-2. Chamberlain from 2007 through 2012, prior to the Tommy John surgery, was 7th among American League relievers with a minimum of 150 innings. Strikeouts per 9 as a reliever. Did he go? They'll check. No, he did not, says Alfonso Marquez. Chamberlain still just 26 years old. Seems like he's been around a lot longer than that.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs so far in a young career. Injuries have been a big part of it.
That's in there for strike 3. Middlebrooks strikes out for the first out of the 9th.
Little slider that time to pick up the strikeout. Slider right down the middle of the plate, and it's been a tough day for Middlebrooks offensively. Well, we mentioned early in the game that Mo Rivera got the big ovation as he was introduced before this Yankee Stadium crowd, missing last year with the knee problem, and wrapping up his career this year.
Saltalamacchia with the check swing. As he begins his final season with the Yankees, there is no doubt Mariano Rivera has to be the Yankees and baseball's ultimate refrigerator. As the regular season games over 1,000, 1,051, 608 saves, 0.70 ERA in the postseason. An amazing 11 earned runs allowed in 32 career postseason appearances. As pitch to Saltalamacchia misses, and it is 1-1. Made his major league debut May 23rd of 1995, and this is the final season for Rivera. There's strike two. One-two is just going to miss. Cervelli trying to bring it back to that corner. And that just misses as well. Full count.
That's two pretty close pitches right there for Jabba Chamberlain that neither one goes in his direction. See Cervelli trying to lift that ball up to knee high, and that might have cost him the call. A pitch.
And ball four down to first base goes Saltalamacchia, third time that he has walked today. One out walk here for Chamberlain, certainly frustrated with that last sequence. Johnny Gomes now has been aboard twice today, a single and an intentional walk. His first day in a Red Sox uniform, batting here in the ninth with one out. Line to left, and that just misses as well. Full count.
That's two pretty close pitches right there for Jabba Chamberlain that neither one goes in his direction. See Cervelli trying to lift that ball up to knee high, and that might have cost him the call. A pitch.
And ball four down to first base goes Saltalamacchia, third time that he has walked today. One out walk here for Chamberlain, certainly frustrated with that last sequence. Johnny Gomes now has been aboard twice today, a single and an intentional walk. His first day in a Red Sox uniform, batting here in the ninth with one out. Line to left, and that's going to be a base hit right in front of Wells. Going to play it on a hop and a sinking liner, and Saltalamacchia takes second.
Gomes has had himself a nice day. 2 hits, an intentional walk. 2 for 4 afternoon, a line shot. One bounce into the glove of Vernon Wells out there in left field.
Jackie Bradley Jr. here making his MLB debut. Walked in his first at bat. You can see his family here absolutely loving it. He also made a spectacular catch you'll see in the 4th at the warning track right here. Quite impressive for a guy who has not played in left field before and drove home a run. Not a bad start for his first major league game, and I'll catch up with him after the game, so make sure you keep it locked on NESN.
Able to get his first RBI in his major league career out of the way as well. And then a ground out in the 7th inning off the pitcher at the time. As that'll miss. I think Job is too pleased with home plate umpire Ted Barrett's.
Well, Barrett's right.
Yeah.
They've all been close, but not strikes.
Wind is picked up here, gusting, kind of swirling around the stadium.
Yeah, it is really whipping around now.
And it has cooled off quite a bit since the beginning of this game. Runners at first and second, one out in the ninth. Red Sox trying to add on to a 3-run lead. Fouled off to the left, 2-2. Well, this ball almost made it to his family. Enjoying the ball game here. Watching him in his major league debut.
And what a thrill that must be for the Bradley family.
Another one Chamberlain wanted, full count. Two on, one away, and Chamberlain goes off the backside of the hill. In the midst of a meeting with himself. Runners take off, but it's ball 4 to Jackie Bradley Jr. Third walk of the day. And the base is now loaded with one out. Chamberlain in a jam. And it is Youkilis who comes over and talks to him in behind the pitcher's mound there for a moment. What a strange sight that is after their relationship over the years. So base is loaded and one out. Total of 8 walks allowed today by Yankees pitching. And a foul off to the right. Look at all kinds of white wrappers coming across the field now, make it interesting for the hitter.
And a lot of fans leaving the ballpark too.
The rain is starting here in New York as you look up to the light towers. It has started. The 0-1 and a swing and a miss. 0-2. Remind everybody tonight at 10 o'clock, Nesson Daily. Get you caught up on anything you missed today in this Red Sox opening day from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. To Iglesias. And a swing and a miss. Iglesias strikes out. Second strikeout for Chamberlain. A big out there. 2 down.
Back to the breaking ball again for Chamberlain. Iglesias had a good day. 3 hits on the day, but that time the strikeout with the bases loaded. Red Sox trying to pick up few insurance runs as they head to the 9th.
Jacoby Ellsbury. 2 hits today, single and a triple, and a 2-for-5 day. Ground ball right side, and it'll be dropped by Cano. He'll fire to first. No, he's going to come home, and the throw there is not in time. 2 runs get in for the Red Sox. Saltalamacchia, then Gomes, and the Red Sox take a 7-2 lead. Cano thought about going to first, but comes home with it, and the Red Sox able to get a pair.
Now perfect spot for Jacoby Ellsbury between first base and second base. You see that there's going to be no one over there. Jabba Chamberlain gets to first base, but they're not going to get Ellsbury. A second run, a good hustle play right there as Johnny Gomes comes in with another run. Red Sox again being very aggressive on the bases. It's almost like it surprised Cano that Gomes was going.
So Jackie Bradley Jr. ends up at third base. It is a single and a couple of RBIs for Ellsbury, his 3rd hit of the day. The top three hitters in the Red Sox order: Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia. 5 RBIs between the three today. Here's a ground ball base hit into right field for Victorino. Can add to that as Bradley Jr. scores, and the Red Sox take an 8-2 lead.
Now the top of the order has been very impressive for the Red Sox today. Ellsbury with 3 hits, a couple of RBIs, 2 hits for Victorino with 3 runs batted in. Pedroia also with a base hit and an RBI.
Now Joe Girardi out to make the change as Chamberlain cannot get out of the 9th inning. Red Sox have added 3 runs to their total and have an 8-2 lead on opening day in New York. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. An almost empty Yankee Stadium, kind of a strange sight as it has been raining here at the ballpark. The Red Sox have opened up a 6-run lead, and the Yankees bring on a new pitcher. Cody Epley comes into the game. Last year 59 appearances, 1-2, 3.33 earned run average, 17 walks at 32 Ks. An opponent sitting at 266 against Epley a year ago. First career opening day roster appearance, and 9 spring training games. Had a very tough spring. 0-2, give up 9 earned runs in 8 innings pitched, a 10.13 ERA in spring training. Dustin Pedroia batting with 2 outs and runners at first and second as he takes strike 1. Wind whipping and rain falling here in New York in the 9th inning. Now we'll get to the backstop, and everybody's going to move up. Ellsbury to third, Victorino to second base. A vicious ricochet off the backstop as 2 move into scoring position. Now Pedroia with 2 hits today. An RBI single back in the 2nd inning after he had singled to center in the 1st. The 2-for-5 day. Ground ball left side as Nunez smothers it, gets up. His throw is going to be picked at first. Nicely done by Overbay, who is able to make the catch that ends the inning as Pedroia dove head first trying to grab that single. But the Red Sox score 3 times in the 9th inning and take an 8-2 lead to the bottom of the 9th inning.
Looks like his thumb.
What did he hurt? Eight to 2. Red Sox have the lead over the Yankees, and a bang play at first, and the dive looks like Pedroia injures his thumb on his left hand as he winces after hitting the bag and in some pain. John Farrell went out and checked on him in between innings, and he stays in the game, but certainly feeling it there. I mean, it jammed it.
Checked on by John Farrell. Pedroia says he's okay, and he remains in the ball game as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, Joel Hanrahan ready to make his Red Sox debut. 63 games last year for the Pittsburgh Pirates. 5-2. He was 36 out of 40 in save opportunities a year ago. He walked 36 to 67 Ks. Red Sox closer in a non-safe situation now, and he was warming up. It was. Rain falling here harder than it has this afternoon, and Lyle Overbay leads it off. He pinch hit, came into the game in the 6th inning. Fly to left in his first at bat. Sprays one foul down the left field line, out of play.
98 on that last fastball from Hanrahan. We didn't see that in spring training.
No, we did not.
I guess that's what opening day adrenaline does to you.
Lyle Overbay spending virtually all of spring training with the Red Sox right up till the end. And he was released, and the Yankees pick him up. Coming off the bench today for Joe Girardi. 1-2 is driven high and deep to right field. Victorino going back to the track to make the catch. He spun around almost over the wrong shoulder initially, but he gets back to make the catch for the first out of the ninth.
I tell you, Victorino's had some wind to deal with out there this afternoon in right field, and he's handled it very well.
One down in the inning for Francisco Cervelli. And a big 2-out, 2-run single back in the 4th inning, which at the time made it a 2-run game. And since then, the Red Sox have opened up things with one in the 7th, 3 in the 9th, and on top 8-2. Ground ball left side. Iglesias will pick and throw. 2 down in the 9th. Two outs in the 9th for Brett Gardner, who's been aboard twice in the top spot in the Yankees order. Singled in the 3rd, walked in the 7th inning. Here he is in the 9th with 2 outs, and that's ball 1. Well, after the Red Sox have gone 0-6 each of the last 2 years to begin the year, and beginning each of the last 2 years on the road, this would be a great way to begin 2013, especially in New York at Yankee Stadium. That's on the outside corner for strike 1, 2-1.
And it's been a well-rounded effort too today by the Red Sox, both offensively with their 13 hits and 8 runs, and pitching wise only allowing the 2 runs.
Swinging a foul tip, 2-2. Well, no home runs were hit today, but by season's end, Hess hopes to exceed the $100,000 they donated to the Red Sox Foundation last season, as do we. 2-2 pitch to Gardner is a fly ball sent down the left field line that'll make its way foul. Jackie Bradley Jr. in his first major league game today, part of this 8-2 Red Sox lead right now. His first RBI, and a big day today for Jose Iglesias. 3 hits today from the number 9 spot in the order. 2-2. And he glances off the glove of Saltalamacchia. And Shane Victorino in his first game in a Red Sox uniform. A couple of hits, 3 RBIs. Really the top of the order getting it done today. Ellsbury, Victorino, and Pedroia. Ellsbury with 3 hits and 2 RBIs today, including a triple. 3-2 is in the air down the left field line. And over is Middlebrooks. The wind will bring it back, and he makes the catch in foul ground. The Red Sox win on opening day in 2013 at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. And Jerry, a complete effort today from the Red Sox, and it starts with their starter, Jon Lester.
Very good outing, with the exception of 1 inning for Jon Lester when he seemed to come out of his mechanics a little bit, but a great all-around effort from the bullpen. Offensively, some clutch base hits, some very good base running, a nice all-around effort today for a Red Sox win on this first game of 2013.
So the Red Sox able to win at 8-2. Nice win today, Tom, for the Red Sox.
Don, it certainly was. We will hear from the manager, John Farrell, after winning the opener. Jon Lester, the first left-hander to start and win a game for the Red Sox on opening day since 1970, and a preview of Game 2. It's all coming up on Red Sox Extra Innings, and it begins right now.